Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the Bluecoats.
Welcome, everyone, to the Bluecoats Telethon. I'm so excited to finally have all of you with us here tonight. I'm Mike Scott. I'm the CEO at Bluecoats. This is Genevieve Geisler. She's our CFO and COO.
So great to be here tonight. Hi, everybody.
So tonight's normally a really special night at Bluecoats. We would have just driven into our hometown of Canton and begun preparations for our final show here, our final hometown show right here in Akron, Ohio. Then we typically head off to the DCI World Championships, but had our season not been canceled, this would have been the culmination of 10,000 miles of our summer tour and an absolute experience of a lifetime for our 165 performers and scores more of staff and volunteers. And we'd be celebrating that accomplishment with all of you, the thousands of parents and fans, donors, and supporters who cheer us on each and every summer. So instead, though, while Jen and I are here in Canton, the rest of you are at your homes doing your best to navigate what has been a very odd summer and a new reality. While 2020 hasn't been what we'd hoped or planned for, we've been working hard here at Bluecoats to continue to provide arts and educational programming for our 2020 members. From our camps in the cloud to Bluecoats Strong, social activities, virtual performances, which you'll see here tonight, our staff and educators and administrators have been hard at work creating the best possible experience in what has been a very difficult summer. We're going to highlight some of those programs and experiences later in the show tonight, so please stay tuned for the debut of two very special brand new brass performances.
Oh, I can't wait for that. Tonight we welcome you all here to celebrate everything Bluecoats and most importantly, to help make sure Bluecoats remains strong for years to come. The pandemic has been economically difficult for so many of us, but performing arts organizations like the Bluecoats and other drum corps and Drum Corps International has just been so hard because of basically all events, in-person events being canceled. So after the season cancellation, Bluecoats set a goal of raising $350,000 to help partially offset the lost revenue that we face without a season. And even that doesn't really cover everything that we lost because of the cancellation, but it would make us be able to have a fiscally strong, introduction into 2021. So far, thanks to your incredible generosity, we've been able to raise $251,271. That is amazing progress, but it leaves us with just under $100,000 to go to reach our goal. Reality is, we have to reach that goal to bring the Bluecoats back strong in 2021. So tonight, we are hosting this telethon to help us get the rest of the way there and have some fun along the way, I hope. We're gonna show you some past shows. We have a really special 2020 Bluecoats Hall of Fame class introduction. We have those virtual brass performances that are debuting tonight, plus a couple of other ones that we've already broadcast. And much more. So we hope you stay tuned for the next couple of hours to enjoy all of that programming, and that you can, go to bluecoats.com and donate to us tonight to help us reach that $350,000 goal.
Yeah, Jen, that's a really good point. So you can see it at the bottom of your screen and in the social posts where you might be watching this. We have people watching on Facebook and Twitter, but also at bluecoats.com. You can make a contribution to get to that goal that we have for the evening and to support our bigger goal of recovery by donating at bluecoats.com. And to really help that get a strong start as we kick off this telethon, we're very excited to announce that we have a $10,000 anonymous matching gift. So until we reach that first $10,000, every single dollar that's donated is matched dollar for dollar. So if you make a $5 or a $50 contribution, that's going to be $10,000 or $100,000. So if we can reach $10,000 in giving, even just here at the beginning of the telethon, we'll actually have made $20,000 on our way. So you saw, we're just under $100,000 to our final goal. So think what $20,000 will do for that.
That's incredible. Reaching that goal will be awesome, so that we can, double that 10,000 to 20,000. Want to let you guys know there's 2 ways to make a donation tonight, and if you can do one, if you can do both, that would be amazing. So we have one-time donations, which of course is an awesome way for you to contribute at any level. But we are also offering people the opportunity to join the Shield, which is our monthly giving society. So the Shield is a monthly giving society of our most ardent supporters. It's simple to set up. Your monthly contribution comes out of your bank account or credit or off of your credit card every month automatically. You can join at the 10, 20, 50, or even higher level, whatever works for you and your family. It comes out every month, and that helps make our programs possible all year long. Plus, there's all kinds of benefits for being a member of the Shield. I know I've been a member of the Shield since it started for the past 3 years. You get a discount on souvenirs. You get exclusive content through the Bluecoats Shield member Facebook page. And you can get early access to tickets, show announcements, and more exclusive content just by becoming a member at any level.
So we've got some lofty goals tonight, but also that exciting $10,000 matching gift. All that's really exciting. Let's see. We wanted to start this night with an incredible just kickoff, and we all know how much we loved last year's show. So we were going to kick tonight off right. So we're about to watch the 2019 show, which we all loved so much. But go ahead, get to bluecoats.com, make a one-time contribution, join the Shield, and make that contribution a sustaining contribution. So Jen, do you want to kick off the 2019 show?
Yeah, let's kick it off. Let's see if we, in the next hour, before we show the next Bluecoats show, let's see if we can raise at least $1,000 and get at least 3 new members of the Shield as we enjoy this special treat, one of my favorite all-time Bluecoats show, 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bluecoats.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Bluecoats!
You'll understand when I say that something. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand.
International, Mike Stott, Genevieve Geisler. The Bluecoats.
That's so great.
Man.
I don't know whether to be like happy or sad. It's
A little
tough.
bit of both,
Yeah,
I
it's a
think,
little
you
bit of
know.
both. Yeah.
It's-
I love that show. I love that show. So, we're here for two reasons. Like Jen said, we're here to have fun and celebrate the Bluecoats community and watch shows and all that. But of course, we're also here to raise money in support of our recovery. So let's check in and see how we did just during that short little intro. So we talked about getting 3 new members of the Shield, and we did that. That's awesome.
Not only that.
Yeah, not only that. Someone emailed a member of the Shield who donates $40 a month, and they're increasing their contribution to $50 a month. That's Bart Hosier, right?
Thank you so much, Bart. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So thanks, Bart. Bart also updated his mailing address by emailing us, so that's important. Make sure we know how to get a hold of you. But throughout the night, members of the Shield that are current, email us, give@bluecoats.com. You can increase your monthly contribution. And for those of you that are new, you can join at bluecoats.com. And as you saw on the screen there, we're at $1,095 so far.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
we're
So
off.
we met our goals for that very first segment. So let's see if we can keep that going. Thank you so much for those of you who contributed and joined the Shield. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're off to a great start. And that $1,095, remember, is matched dollar for dollar. So we're already at $2,200.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
great.
So, where are we off to next? We're, of course, DCI, that all reminded us of Drum Corps International World Championships, which we can't go to in addition to all our own events. But, we're in this together with all the different drum corps that are missing their season.
So, obviously this telethon is about raising money for the Bluecoats in particular, but
Right.
This is a tough time, guys, for everybody. It's a tough time for DCI, it's a tough time for all of the other groups. And, Mike recently had a really great conversation with DCI CEO Dan Atchison about both the state of Drum Corps International in general and the Bluecoats and all the money and we need to raise and what we've been doing over the summer. So let's cut to that great conversation.
Hey everybody, I'm joined by a very special guest, someone you might recognize. We have today with us the CEO of Drum Corps International, Dan Atchison. Hey Dan.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing all right. We're doing all right.
All right.
So, Dan, normally all of our fans would also be engaged with you, with Drum Corps International. We would be traveling the whole summer together, and it's so awkward, being this stage in the summer and not having to come to a Drum Corps International event. And I know that you're probably thinking about that a lot right now going into what would have been Championships Week. So, I wanted to take this opportunity to say hey and have you join our telethon, but also, what's going on with DCI as you come into what would have been our biggest week of the year?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We would have just celebrated a nice, cool Allentown, Pennsylvania event for 2 days with
no rain.
Right? No rain.
Exactly.
Exactly, right? But we would be coming into championship week with the Monday night, starting with the open class championship prelims, going into their finals on Tuesday night, and the performer showcase and everything coming into championships, for those 3 days, and the sound sport, music and food festival. We're going to miss all that, obviously. We're going to miss that very much. But what we're trying to do in the meantime is we have an event on Friday night. It's the Hall of Fame, the DCI Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It'll be on all our social media platforms, trying to just get people to tune in for an hour and enjoy and celebrate some of the history of DCI and 3 awesome inductees. And then on Saturday, we're going to take our own telethon and present it called the March On Telethon and do some old-fashioned fundraising because, as you know, the corps, we can't do enough to give to the corps to help support their missions. Well, one of the things that we do to support the Corps' mission is create this great stage for them to perform on. Absolutely. And Drum Corps International, as you know, needs some help with that. Thus, the telethon on Saturday. It's going to feature some great conversations with some old champions and their staff and members and so forth, which is very exciting. And also going to feature just some of the virtual performances that we've seen throughout the last 4 months from various corps and so forth. Other conversations along the way, but the focus, of course, is on the fundraising aspect of the event, and appreciate anything that anyone can bring to that. But first, give to the Bluecoats.
Well, thanks, Dan. Yeah, tomorrow we're doing this telethon because tomorrow would have been our biggest event of the year at the Bluecoats organization, and that's our Tour of Champions show in Akron. So, of course, that's why we thought it was appropriate to come to our fans tonight, with this telethon. And of course, a big theme is fundraising. But, as someone who works within the DCI organization a lot, sort of, looking at how important DCI is to the Bluecoats organization, I can't stress enough, how right you are, Dan. And we have to support Drum Corps International, if only because it provides the Bluecoats and all of our colleague organizations such an amazing stage each and every summer. And I think we know how important that stage is now, having not had it for a summer. We know how vital that is to our organizations.
Yeah, and we miss the performers of the Bluecoats so much this year. I can't even begin to tell you.
Well,
right?
thanks.
Along with all the performers in DCI. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Just to think, there's 5,000 participants that aren't having that experience this year. We got to find a way to move that forward.
Yeah.
So
well,
again, right?
I know that Bluecoats has sent some of our virtual performances your way, so I'm excited to see that both tonight and on, is it Saturday?
It is on Saturday.
Saturday night. So that's super exciting. So that sort of begs the question. Of course, I learned this summer just how much I miss seeing the Bluecoats, how much I miss watching Drum Corps. It's just not the same seeing it in all those little squares in a virtual performance. You and I have worked together over the past couple of months on various, conversations within DCI, just about, well, what are we going to do? What does 2021 look like? So can we talk about that for a minute? What do you see?
Yeah, and that's been a tough conversation, right? The last 16 weeks, because there's so much uncertainty. And what has been, and you've certainly been a part of, is with the directors of these organizations in the open class and the world class coming together almost on a weekly basis and lots of hours in between those weeks, just trying to talk through all of the circumstances that might be in play, trying to be a little bit anticipatory as to what we can be ready for in various scenarios and things. And they've been some very tough conversations for us, right? And
Sure.
But at the same time, I haven't heard anybody lose hope that there is something we can do to provide an awesome Drum Corps experience for the performers in 2021 in some form, some way, but obviously first and foremost being safe when we're doing it. Safe for not only the performers, but everyone who surrounds the performers, including the fans. But we are hopeful that we can put together something that will get people excited about marching music, about Drum Corps, and want to celebrate with us in 2021. But it will be different. That's part of what hurts, right? Because boy, it'd be nice to just flip the switch and it's just like we were in 2019.
Yeah. I know for me, it's been what I've enjoyed about our process is, like you said, we kind of say, okay, what if we put that down on paper, and then we kind of put it back on the shelf and then pull a new plan off and say, okay, well, what if X or Y, and then write that down. And that's been comforting.
Right.
Okay, we've got something on paper. We know what this might look like, but then it's also, like you said, that's kind of what hurts too, because every time you write a new plan, you see just how different, that might be. Oh, well, that would be different. That would make the Drum Corps experience feel different, or the fan experience feel different. And, but at the same time, I have really enjoyed working with you, working with our fellow directors, and, the whole community, just looking at these things and feeling more confident about we could pull that off. We could pull that off, and we could make everyone feel and be safe is the most important thing.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that we would know right now, with a big crowd showing up in Akron, big crowd showing up in Indianapolis, we'd be able to feel that support. And that's part of what we're missing, right?
Right.
But I can tell you, and I know you're probably experiencing the same thing, the people that I hear from and how much they miss the activity, that support's still out there. They still believe that the Drum Corps experience is important for your performers, for all performers, as well as for the fans, and more even so for all of marching music, that we get this out there again. And their support has been huge for that, from an emotional standpoint, and certainly volunteering the way they do. It's a little overwhelming how many great people our activity actually have that are all trying to push in the same direction.
Absolutely. Well, we're seeing that tonight with everyone who's tuned in to our telethon. And to everyone at home, I hope that you can join Dan and the rest of the DCI community on Saturday for the DCI March On telethon. Dan, thank you so much for the conversation. It's so great to see you.
Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate the opportunity, and go Bluecoats.
Thanks. All right. See you later, Dan.
Take care.
Hey, Dan.
Hey Dan, hope you're watching. Thanks so much. It was so great to chat with you. It's always great to connect with someone that we haven't been able to see that we normally would over the course of a summertime. So you guys are being awesome. Just during the course of the last segment, we have so many new donors. I want to thank Michael Gaines. Hey Mike, thank you so much. John Vanderkoff, a one-time donation. Alfred Segovia. We have Patrick Rice made a donation. Alum Timothy Kuhn. Renee. Let's see, Chris Lemaster. Oh, hi Chris. I know Chris. More coming in as we speak. We also have some members.
We also had 3 new Shield members: John Vanderkoff, Jacob Moorer, and Renee DeHarley.
So thank you so much, guys. We've talked about how important the Shield is and how important these one-time gifts are. If you're ready to make a gift, you can do so. Bluecoats.com. You can either join monthly and become a member of the Shield, or you can make a one-time gift. So next up, our first of 2 promised world premieres of the 2020 Bluecoats performing virtually. Please enjoy this low brass performance of Lead Me, Lord.
Hi, I'm Sean Cartner from Denver, Colorado, and I'm proud to be a sustaining member in the Shield. I chose to join the Shield because, as an alumnus, I think it's incredibly important to give back to an organization that has given me so much. I learned a lot about hard work, dedication, and family during my time with the Bluecoats, and that has helped me tremendously as a music educator. I would highly encourage my fellow alumni to join the Shield. 6 words, Bluecoats.
Hi, I'm Thomas Macias from Houston, Texas, and I'm proud to be a supporting member of the Shield. I marched Bluecoats in 2011, and I joined the Shield because I want to help contribute to the great experiences that I know Bluecoats can provide. As an alumnus, it's really awesome to see friends and now former students march with the Bluecoats, and I'm happy to be a small part of contributing to that experience.
Well, thanks, Thomas and Sean. Great to hear from you as members, and thanks to the 2020 Low Brass. You're going to hear from the High Brass a little bit later. It's so refreshing to hear something from this year's Bluecoats. That's so nice. Also, a special shout out to Pat Guerin, who performed in that, and also all of the brass staff members. We'll kind of introduce them as we go, but they've done some amazing work producing these videos, along with Griffin Schneider and Malik Davis, who've done some incredible work assembling the video. So, it's no on-field performance, but it certainly took a lot of people behind the scenes to make the performances you'll see tonight possible. And again, it was so great to hear from Sean and Thomas. They're members of the Shield, and we have members of the Shield coming in as we speak. I'm a member of the Shield, Jen is a member of the Shield. We'll hear from lots of members of the Shield as we go out through this evening. It's such a vital revenue source.
I was just thinking about this week. So, sometimes we take this stuff for granted, but these regular donations that come in every month have literally allowed us to keep the lights on during the pandemic. Literally. That's what we can count on them every month at a certain time of month. That allows us to pay the mortgage and the utilities on our building and bingo hall, to keep essential staff people in place, and to continue to cover their health insurance. And it's allowed us to continue to have that essential programming for our 2020 Bluecoats members. So without the Shield, we truly would have been lost during this pandemic. So we just want to thank you so much it's just it's a great way to contribute to the core.
Yeah, when we launched the Shield, the tagline that we came up with was to protect the future of Bluecoats, and here we are. And
something we couldn't have anticipated happening, and literally that deposit in the bank account every month is what has been keeping our lights literally on.
It lived up to its name.
It sure did.
We are absolutely protecting the future of Bluecoats, and your contributions now during this telethon will protect whatever the next future is for us, and will help us now keep the Bluecoats organization alive and keep all the programming you're going to see tonight possible. So to join the Shield, to become a member, you can go to bluecoats.com. If you're already a member, like I mentioned, you can shoot us an email, give@bluecoats.com to increase your monthly contribution.
Special shout out to so many people who throughout the course of this disaster have emailed us to increase their donation. That has truly been life-saving.
Absolutely. So Jen, let's get an update as to where we're at.
All right, let's see.
Great, so 7 new members of the Shield.
7 new members, wow.
That's incredible, and it looks like we've raised just over $3,000. It looks like we're actually at $3,100. So that's absolutely incredible. Remember, on that total number, whenever we see that, up until we reach $10,000, that's matched dollar for dollar.
So that $3,000 is turning into $6,000 right now.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
absolutely. It's totally incredible.
Wow.
So we're so grateful for all this support.
Totally.
So next, we're going to hear a little something from our Alumni Council. That's a group of alums who sort of govern the incredible alumni community that we have here at Bluecoats. There's representatives from each decade, and the Alumni Council comes together and gives their time and their talent, after they've aged out, of course, to support our programming and to support what they know to be such an incredible suite of experiences for our young people. It's chaired by Jay Wise, and it also includes Nancy Johnson, Ryan Shepard, Jed Syak, Nam Chow, Chris Groves, Larry Rebbio, both of whom are on our board of directors, Scott Stouffer, Graham Hopkins, Nicole Oliva, Kelly Carlson, Anthony Mallard, also known as Duck, Hey Duck,
Hey Duck.
Kristen Eck, and Kevin Stahl. Every year, the council oversees lots of cool things that happen when we're having a normal year. Our Adopt a Member program, Christmas in July, all the alumni fundraising and engagement we do, our annual history night, which is totally a favorite of our members. This year, without the regular tour, though, they've been hard at work, and it's been so great having this strong alumni council to come with us.
Yeah, they've really come through with a lot of stuff.
Absolutely, and they've augmented what we've done from a recovery standpoint, but also from a programming standpoint, keeping the Bluecoats experience alive. So they helped produce a virtual history night that we had, which was really cool.
It's part of our Camps in the Cloud program.
Yeah, and lots of alumni who normally couldn't come with us to Marion.
Yeah, it was actually a small benefit of the pandemic, is that a lot of people who weren't actually able to travel to the in-person history night that we have every year during Sing Training actually were able to be live participants.
Totally. And they also participated in something that we'll see later, which is participating in a virtual Autumn League.
Yeah,
So we'll talk a little bit about more of that, but that's of course thanks to the Alumni Council and all of their work. But first, however, we have a little segment that our Alumni Council has put together that we like to call, they're not booing, they're bluing.
Wow, that was cool. Actually, I still remember going to my very first drum corps show in 1999. It was actually my 19th birthday. It was in Elkton, Maryland. I had never done high school band. I had never even heard of drum corps. So before that year, I went to that show, and I quite clearly remember hearing fans in the stand doing what I thought was booing. And I was like, what the heck? So, of course, some more in-the-know fans clued me in that it was bluing and it was a tradition and all that, but it's actually a really clear memory I have from my very, very first drum corps experience. So that was a neat video for me to watch.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And now here you are.
And now here I am.
Right,
Like,
who would've
I've
thought?
done drum corps for my career. But
You
I
definitely
didn't
know
even
they're bluing now.
I definitely know they're bluing now,
Right.
yes.
Well, not all the time, maybe.
Certainly of late.
Right.
So.
Sure. So next up, we're going to watch another famous moment in Bluecoats history.
Yes, Brave
right?
New World. You
Yes.
know, 2011. I was so excited. This is Mike. This is before Mike became the CEO. He actually was one of our conductors
Yes.
in 2011,
Mhm.
a rookout of the Bluecoats as a conductor. But I was very excited to find out from the design team in 2011 that the Bluecoats were playing "Creep" by one of my favorite bands, Radiohead. So here we go.
Well, I don't know if you caught it, but that was me. my one-time moment in the spotlight. Thank you, Robert, if you're watching, who made this video. I remember being so stoked to finally make it in a video. That was such a big deal. And of course, that was a big deal, but then I never thought I'd have the opportunity to come back to work at Bluecoats, to make it my career, and then eventually, of course, to get to work with you here, leading the organization. It's been such an unexpected ride.
Yeah, little did I know either. So at the time in 2011, I'd been working for the Bluecoats full time for a few years already, and because I'm obviously much older than Mike, so I was the director of operations and finance at the time. And though Mike obviously did a great job as a conductor, I could have never anticipated that one day we'd be working together and he would be the CEO. So actually, Mike, would you mind telling us a little bit about some of the accomplishments in your Bluecoats career that you're most proud of, whether they're from when you performed or when you worked here or as a CEO?
Well, when I got to march in the Corps, of course, that's just such a big, I just remember that feeling, and I try to remember that feeling often at the beginning of a season. Like there's all these new people who are getting to have the Bluecoats experience for the first time, and it's cool to get to, recall that and to remember that that was part of my experience, getting to have the Bluecoats experience for the first time, and it's such a thrill, and I think it's a big reason why I feel so strongly about drum corps and what it means and what we're doing as an organization. And so, of course, when I got to come back to work at Bluecoats, that's huge.
Yeah.
I came back in 2014, which of course was an incredible year. With
way to cherry pick it, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. I skipped a few years and came back 2014, and I was just so thrilled to get to be back at what had become my home almost haphazardly. Just I got to march, and then now it's my home, and to come back and to work was so great. And one thing that actually is a big part of my career here at Bluecoats that I'm so glad I get to talk about now is the Shield. So I became a full-time employee around 2017, and you and Dave and I immediately began brainstorming,
Sure.
what could a monthly giving society look like at Bluecoats. And so that was a big project, but of course, when you're starting a big project, you're never quite sure how it's gonna turn out or what it's gonna look like. So we launched it, and of course it had modest beginnings, a few members, you, Dave, some people at the some people at the very beginning who began to give monthly in support of our programming, and that has now grown so incredibly. We have more than 200 members now, and it grew a lot during the pandemic. You might think that people are more reluctant to give as economic challenges or other things become realities, but what was so cool for me was watching the support pour in even as the summer was canceled, even as we knew our members weren't going to have an opportunity to watch behind the scenes
with those new Shield
shows.
members and people upping their donation. It was incredible.
Absolutely. We just heard actually from a member, Cedric Robinson. He is upping.
Hey, Cedric.
Hi, Cedric. He's on our staff, first of all, so that's incredible. He's upping his donation $20 whole a month, so that's a pledge of $240. Which is absolutely incredible. And we have another member of the Shield, also a member of the board of directors, Randy Lamb, and he has sent me an email that is challenging all members of the Shield to either commit to making a one-time donation during the event tonight or to pledging to increase their donation. So any support, whether it's a one-time contribution or a monthly contribution, is of course incredibly, incredibly generous and so helpful to us as we try to reach our goals. And if you're already a member, email us, give@bluecoats.com, or if you're brand new or trying to make a one-time gift, bluecoats.com is the place to go.
Hey Randy, I'll take you up on that challenge. I'll donate during the next video that they produce here. So.
And I'll increase my Shield contribution. So you got two of them.
You got two, let's go for
now
some
we got
more.
195 more or so. So we're coming up on the next major show that we're going to watch. But Jen, do you want to do a quick fundraising update, or are we going to wait until after the show?
I think we're gonna do a fundraising update.
Okay, let's do one.
Looks like we've got 10 new sustaining members of the Shield now. Wow, that's incredible. Thank you so much, everybody. And our fundraising progress is up to $3,639 today. And again, remember, that's matched dollar for dollars, up to $10,000, so that is actually gonna be doubled.
Yeah, so we're almost to 8,000 then with the double, and if we can get those one-time gifts to 10,000, then we got $20,000.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, on our way to 350,000. That's absolutely incredible.
So actually, talking about the Shield that you started in 2017, it's a pretty great segue into this next segment because you started that in the fall of 2017. I remember all the talk that we had about that, and that was actually part of the first fundraising push for the 2018 season and our incredible program, Session 44, and that's what's coming up next.
Yeah, all right, well, let's watch it.
To me, jazz is good music and a good feeling.
Can we get another take, please? Are we rolling? Roll tape. This is session 44. Play tape.
lucky jackpots. They keep you tantalized. They keep you reaching for your wallet, dear and fool's paradise. He got 3 oranges, 2 lemons, 2 cherries, 3 plums. I'm losing my taste for fruit. Watching the dry cleaner do it, like Midas in a polyester suit. It's all luck, it's just luck. You get a little lucky and you make a little money. Do. It's all luck, it's just luck. It's just luck. Really lucky, really lucky. I went through a roll of time. It's just luck.
Lady Day, this is session 44. Take 2.
Oh God, I love that show. So, elephant in the room, before we do a financial update, look, we got a new guest.
Hey everyone!
It's John Vanderkoff, our artistic director. But before we get to John, let's talk about some numbers. So we've got an update coming here. Our new Shield membership is 10. Awesome. 10 brand new members of the Shield. That's fantastic. We've raised $4,367. Remember, that's matched dollar for dollar. And we're at $255,000 on our way towards our goal. But we're going to be adding in those matching dollars later on. So we're doing some fantastic work tonight. Remember that all of this is going to A, support our recovery, B, support all the programming that we've been doing this summer, and C, support our future and keep what we're doing alive as we go. So, like I said, we've got John Vanderkoff here. For those of you who don't know, John is our artistic director. He's our visual designer and an absolute friend of ours. He works here at Bluecoats, and John designed that show along with an incredible team of people. So that show was about the artistic journey, and we're talking a lot about ourselves as artists and the value of that within drum corps. So I thought maybe while we've got you here, let's talk about kind of the impetus of that show and where you're coming from with all that.
Sure. Well, what was that? 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
2.5, 3.
It's
really
amazing, how everything progresses every year. Where the impetus came, I just always believe the impetus always comes from the thing that preceded that, or the things that preceded that, number of things that preceded that, like through the years. I remember in 2016 we took that, Greg designed that amazing costume that kind of changed the landscape, and it really drew attention to the performers.
Yeah.
And then we developed that further in 17. But then by the time we got to 2018, we had always talked about what it would be and if it could work on this kind of scale of can you actually make everyone individual? and that's something that did. In other words, in costume and stuff like that, every single person there had a different design costume, and because of the brilliance of Greg Ligolo and the tireless work that he put in, every time, you always think you know what it's going to look like, and then you get to spring training, you do your dress rehearsal, and it's like, oh my gosh. Like this is, it just felt like uncharted territory and brand new.
I remember the process with Stanbury, the production side of this, and like working with them, and Stanbury, of course, they said, yes, absolutely, whatever you need, even though what we were asking was something that no one had ever done before.
Well, it's much more like a theater company, you know what I mean? Like that whole process and stuff like that, it took all of us on definitely a new journey, for sure. And just, they were fantastic. Greg was fantastic, and all the people at Bluecoats that helped put that whole thing together.
Well, that was the first year we had Michael, right?
Oh, yeah. So that's, right, 2018 is when Michael Rayford came on board with us, and that just changed so much. He's a professional set designer, costume designer, and, he's been involved in the activity forever, it seems, and, he's been such a dear friend of mine for a long time. And I think we finally got to the point in our creative process where we needed somebody of his ability and creativity to take this to a whole nother level. You start to imagine little fragments in your head of what things could look like, but I don't have that capability. And then it just was a perfect place for Michael to come in.
Yeah. Well, how perfect, we were just mentioning that show is about the artist journey, and one way we did that was by individualizing the performer. But isn't it also interesting, we think about 2016, of course, it's very apparent what was new in 2016, right? It was all new. In 2017, of course, we, tried to kind of find our boundaries with regard to what we could do, with the field, right? But then 2018, there's such a level of refinement and artistry that we found with Greg and the individual costumes, or Michael and what we did with the set design, and, then sort of how that all integrated down into the music team, and how we changed the way we had to design musically in order to accommodate all of these things we were finding.
It's true. I think back to one of the biggest things that's happened since I think 2014, but 16 was a big change. It's like we really started to understand that we could, in the confines of drum corps, which is an extra truck going down the road and stuff, actually change a football field into something far more intimate and something that's theatrical and believable as a theatrical event. And in comes Michael to take that whole idea and make it real. You see the set design in there and those chairs with the sculpture. I mean,
yeah.
it's just so beautiful. Like if I had space, I'd put one of those in my backyard. It's just something you just want to look at. It just makes you think, you know.
Yeah. They're also for sale.
Oh, awesome! Are they?
Well, I think just 2 or 3 of them are left.
I might have room in my backyard. I don't know. Yeah, but you know, all that. You know, I came in 2013 into a really well-established drum and bugle corps. And the first thing that happened, well, obviously meeting Dave Glasgow was like, you know, just getting a hug. Really, it's that way because he's just such an amazing guy. But then you dug through. I knew because we're both Canadian, and mostly I think we competed against each other growing up. So I knew of him. I always knew he was funny. But he's been, you know, a mainstay of Bluecoats, and then Tom Rarick. Oh, he's so brilliant. Yeah, the gang. There you see the gang right there. You know, like you just come into this already great team, and that's just the way that everybody thinks. What I love about these guys is everybody approaches it from the whole. They want to push themselves. Everybody's just so curious and inspired. You know, every year about all this. It's never been competitively driven with any of these people, which fit great for when Jim and I and Greg and Michael came in. You know, it's always about what's next and what else could we do and how else could we honestly try to you know, affect the people that are not only performing but watching the show.
Sure,
you know?
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and we did that through the lens of a character, which was somewhat new for us, right?
Yeah, but you know, like I've tried it before in my experience in this activity in a marching band, and it's hard in a football stadium to make it honestly about one person.
Sure.
So it's trying to find the balance, and this is why I think the costuming and the way we evolved musically and the way we evolved electronically, like with Aaron Beck and Vince Oliver and now Matt Jordan, the way that they help change the landscape so that it could actually be intimate and you could you know, portray a character in a way, in a drum corps kind of way. You know, just opened up all those avenues.
Well, and we were able, you know, of course there was, you know, the one character, right? With the vocal major, but then, you know, we were able to highlight other, you know, performers as an individual, not only because of the costuming, but, you know, we created these stages, multiple places where one performer could be. And you mentioned Aaron and Vince and now Matt, you know, we were able to make some things possible with directional solo things that further, you know, like it's amazing. I wish that we had opportunities to drill down into those details every time we put a production out there, because, you know, we just, you know, we're talking about, okay, the artistic experience, the artist's experience, but then, you know, how many dozens and dozens of challenges do you find to find those, you know, tiny little moments where you can achieve that goal. And, you know, one person we've left off that helps us do that, of course, is Dean, right?
Oh my gosh,
you know, Dean helps focus those moments. Well, what if this, what if that? You know, same with Jim and finding choreographic moments or, you know, moments to highlight a performer. You know, all those things add up.
You know, I mean, and the thing with Dean, he just comes with a wealth of experience, but he's just so inspiring and inspired. You know, just to have him with us and help, like you said, he helps channel us and organize us. But you know, it's always like everything's kind of wide open. Everything is a possibility. And I swear, we have, you know, being around these people, it's just, you approach it as though you're brand new into the activity. It's how I felt when I first started the activity, just super excited, and I still feel that way. You know,
it's great how things add in too. You know, like we talk about what an individual person brings, and then how we're able to sort of immediately leverage that for the whole design or the whole production or whatever. You know, like what Aaron can contribute. It's almost like the sum is constantly greater than the parts. You know, that's such a cool part about getting to watch you all as a team work from a design perspective, but then also zooming way out. You know, in my role and Genevieve, we both have the opportunity more than almost anyone to get to kind of see it all, from the members of the board of directors and what they're doing from a governance standpoint, all the way down to, you know, an intern who, you know, we have picking someone up at the airport, and how that just sort of turns into this one moment that we call a show, which then of course gives all these amazing performers and hundreds of thousands of fans every year an opportunity to live in that and to enjoy it. It's pretty cool.
It is amazing, you know, it's so seldom in life that you get to experience, you know, so many people doing so many different things, all focused towards one goal.
Right.
You know, it's magical. It really is.
It is. And have you thought, like, I've always known that, I've always felt that, but now having a summer where we couldn't do that, like it's become all the more obvious and all the more, you know, apparent just how important drum corps is, and therefore our programming and our mission and everything we do, whether it's the drum corps and those 164 performers, or it's the people who make their livelihood in this, or it's the fans, or it's the thousands of marching band kids and band directors and designers all over the world who look to what we do in the drum and bugle corps activity or what we do in the performing arts education space and how impactful that is. And it's, I think that's so important for us to remember, and it's been so easy for us to recall with a summer off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for that.
Sure.
I'm sure some of my peers can feel this way. You're going along, and a lot of us do all 3 seasons. You do Winter Guard, and you do Bands of America, and you do Drum Corps, and you go, oh, wouldn't it be great to have a break?
Yeah.
And then you do.
Right.
But it's not like
break.
it's nothing any of us. It's like something was just ripped away from us. You know what I mean? But it sure gives you a lot of time for reflection, and you truly realize. I'm not sure the right words to put this, but you realize the importance of this small little world that we do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's not so much just the creating of the shows, but honestly, what I miss the most is being around these performers and being around these kids. I miss all of it, but that's something. And earlier, fortunately, through the course of the summer, Bluecoats have been great of having this Camps on the Cloud and all this stuff, and you just get to see all the kids, and that's been a highlight for sure. But it certainly makes you realize, how much you really miss. And for me, it hit me that I have a new appreciation for how important this activity really is. I feel like I got to the bottom level of really understanding, not only for me, but for everybody that's involved in it. It really, I don't really even know the words to describe that, other than I feel like when we come back, there's going to be a camaraderie unlike anything we've ever had before. Oh, sure. And you feel it now. I mean, we're all pulling for everybody. Yeah. You know what I mean? It brought everybody together. We're pulling for every other drum corps. We're pulling for DCI. We're pulling for the kids. We're trying to figure out ways so that everybody can still perform next year. That couldn't last. There's just, that's pretty overwhelming.
Well, like I alluded to in my conversation with Dan, every drum corps and its executive, Genevieve and I, week after week, we've been on the phone with other directors and other people because I think you're right, we've realized just how us as a whole, as the collective, is so valuable and so important. And, I think we're also realizing beyond the people that are in here working, but just, our supporters, I think, are noticing that too and are realizing how important this is to them, and so we have just had an outpouring of support. And as you're telling me this, I'm reminded of all of the people that over the course of our entire history have given us that support and have through some way or another realized just how vital this is, or how important they find it is, or how inspiring. And we're about to hear from one person who was absolutely the pinnacle of that in the 1980s when the Bluecoats organization was struggling, a challenge not unlike this one with the canceled season. And he was a band dad. He came in and his son was in the corps, and that person is Ted Swaldo. So we're going to hear now a little bit from Ted, who was the director in the 1980s and an executive here, and is currently a director emeritus on our board of directors.
My name is Ted Swaldo, and I was a director from 1984 through 1992. Probably like most parents, my son came home one day when he was a junior, and he had attended the Innovation of the Brass show that the Bluecoats did at Fawcett Stadium. And he said, I want to try out for this drum and bugle corps. And I think we kind of blew it off like, okay, it's the idea of the moment. And then later on, when it came time for going to camps, he went and practiced. He was a drummer. So he came home, his hands were hurting, his wrists were all puffed up, and he said, well, I made it, and I'm going to be traveling the country with this drum corps all summer. And that's where the fatherly thing comes in, said, wait a minute, I better find out what this is all about. I'm not a music person. I mean, I have zero musical ability. I'm so bad I don't even hum. That's how bad it is. But I went down there, and what I saw was a group of dedicated kids. I mean, I saw people getting up early, working hard, really trying for perfection, and I saw there was a lot more to drum corps than just music and marching, and that's when I really became a fan. After the corps folded, I was asked by the color guard instructor he wanted to start a winter guard. And I said, yeah, I would do it. And so actually I helped set up the winter guard day. I was the director, if you want to call it that. Very well organized, we funded ourselves. And so what happened after the corps folded, I was approached by Tom Jack Midas, who was the previous director. And he asked me if I would do it for 1 year. He said all I had to do was organize it for 1 year, get it started again, and then he would bring in a staff to manage it after that. When I first decided to do the directorship, I did all the things I knew from marketing. You know, I sent out mailers to all the band directors. I actually went out to band directors and visited the schools. I had ads in the newspapers. I mean, that was before, you know, the internet, of course. I ran full-page ads. I had radio advertisements, and my wife and I, we talked, and I said, "Hon, you have to prepare food for 150 kids. We're going to have 150 at this camp." We went to the boys' club, and 12 kids showed up. And I mean, I have to tell you, that day I was disheartened. It was only 12 people showed up, and it was so few that we couldn't even have a practice. We played basketball and we played games. And I said, if we're going to build this core, and apparently you want this core to survive, each one of you have to bring a member at the next camp. And the next camp we had 35, and the next camp we had 50, and on, and we marched I think 108 or 110 that year. We had no uniforms, we had no buses. The equipment, the horns, by the way, when they shut the core down in '83, the kids thought they could keep the horns, and they were spread out all over northeastern Ohio and part of Pennsylvania. In fact, I had to buy some of them back from the local pawn shop. We didn't have any buses, like I said, we didn't have uniforms, we didn't have it, and we didn't have any money. So that was, all those things were challenges. And I went to the alumni because these were people who had participated in the program, who had gone through it, and who had benefited from it. And I saw that, and I thought, this is where I want to start. And so I went out and solicited a number of those people, and they kind of taught me drum corps because I didn't know. When you're not the musician, I wasn't worried about how the kids were playing or what they were marching. I was more interested in how we were going to fund it, where we were going to go, how the safety. I needed the parents and the volunteers more than I needed the kids. Because if you don't have any money, you really need a lot of volunteer help. A lot of people stepped up. They've stepped up and they've really, really donated a considerable amount of time, which made it affordable for us. We could do it. Well, I realized after those first 2 years, you know, I'm a quick learner. And I learned quickly what I thought it would take to make us better. And a fellow came up to me, a judge actually, a DCI judge, and he told me after the program, he said, "You guys got something going here." He says, "It's really amazing what you've accomplished in 2 years." But he said, really, you need to get over the top, you need to have some people who understand the activity and can bring some people to you. I can still remember vividly, and my wife and I have talked about this, that one of the first camps that Frank Doherty came in, he took the horn line and put them in a room, and when they started and 2 hours later when they came out, it was like a whole different horn line. They were superior in 2 hours. When I first heard Autumn Leaves was in a hotel room at a DCI meeting, and the design staff was sitting there, and someone brought in a cassette player, and they had a recording of a university or college band who had played a similar arrangement, and everybody in the room said, "Oh, that'll work, that'll work." They were very excited about it. I mean, I'm talking about the percussion people, I'm talking about the horn people, even the visual people were saying, "Yeah, I can put something to that." But it was the drum to drum and the excitement of that, and I guess I realized it was going to be a winner at about the second or third show when everybody in the audience stood up and applauded in the middle of a show. So it was interesting because it kind of felt like a good old boys club. If you weren't one of these certain corps, you were never going to get in the top 12. And here it was, somebody came out of left field, and we drove ourselves to that level, and everybody was cheering for us. The Bluecoats showed that anybody could do it. It didn't have to be one of those special groups.
of course, when that finalist list comes up, John here goes, I won that year.
Yeah.
So John
Dang
won
right.
that. Right. But we were pretty excited where we were at that time in our history.
Absolutely.
And of course, it was thanks to Ted and the incredible leadership that he had and all of the people around that time that committed so much and saw something in the Bluecoats organization that, of course, whoever thought where the organization would end up now here today.
Yeah.
So thanks, Ted, for that amazing segment. And for those of you who didn't recognize it, that performance of Autumn Leaves was the very first on-field performance, the only on-field performance, but the very first performance of what would become our core song, a song that has a lot of meaning for so many people in the Bluecoats community. So that was a long break, and we've had so much support come in. It's pretty exciting. So let's do a quick update. We got 14 new members of the Shield. So those are new people who not only are making a one-time gift, but they're donating monthly. It's recurring. It's a sustaining membership, and it's a commitment in our future. And that brings our total here to $8,683. Folks, we're almost to that $10,000 mark. Remember, the first $10,000 donated tonight is matched dollar for dollar. So we're almost there at $20,000 donated tonight. That's absolutely incredible. I want to thank some people. Jim Moore, who made a contribution. Thanks, Jim. You didn't have to do that. We so appreciate that. Alania Sign, she joined as a member. Jason Gray, she joined. She's a new member of the Shield. Debbie Wiles, Joel Ruthenberg. Thank you, Joel, for all of your support. It's been incredible. You're so generous. Skip Howell, he's a member. Rick Brown, a member of our staff and diversity and inclusion advisory council. Thanks, Rick. John Millsap, you increased your Shield membership. That's a pledge of $120. Kelly Laws, so many more. We're watching it all come through. Kelly, it's great to hear you. Thank you so much for your support. So next up, we have another of our promised virtual performances. This one's really special. It's a part of the Bluecoats history that's near and dear to my heart, arranged by our longtime brass arranger Doug Thrower and a huge fan favorite, Encore. Here's a virtual performance of the 2020 Bluecoats performing The Boxer.
Too. Actually, it was the Boxer that first drew me to the Bluecoats. I remember watching that, and it just stuck. I'm a big, Simon and Garfunkel fan, and that song just has so much depth to it. And to hear, I remember them doing it. First of all, Doug's arrangement just blew me away, and then when they sang at the end of that whole thing, it just gave you, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's really. Yeah, and it has kind of meaning too, right? Like even today, you think about it, like I'm leaving, but the fighter still remains. It's like, you kind of fight through it. I know you fight through all this stuff. It's time and therefore experience affects you, of course, but it's that, this whole thing gets you down to the core about what you really, that character, that quality, that thing that perseveres through the thing kind of creates the legacy. And yeah, it's pretty heartfelt, amazing.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty real thing, Bluecoats.
Yeah, it definitely is, yeah. Well, this whole activity, to be honest with you.
For sure, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I think all of us are realizing that. Yeah. You do your best not to take anything for granted, but we're all so busy, whether we're making it all happen or performing in it, and when that's taken away, you realize, oh my gosh, maybe I did take some of it for granted, and now you have a little pause, I suppose. just to center yourself and get back on track and realize what's really so important about this, you know. So, you know, I just want to say I really appreciate everyone who's been able to watch and donate tonight and throughout this tough time, especially, I mean, this is kind of amazing to me, but I particularly want to thank all of those students and families who donated tour fees. I mean, that's unbelievable. When this, I mean, you know, like you just, these such scary unknown times, and so many people in this organization, you know, felt that this was so important that they had to help support it and do that.
That's crazy.
It really is, you know. So that's money you all were generous enough to donate for an experience circumstances prevented us from providing, you know, a 2020 show. And that means the world to me. It certainly affects me, the rest of the design team, and all our instructional staff. It's what's keeping us going as a team and allowing us to survive and provide the best 2020 experience we can for our performers. And most of all, to assure that our future is secure for an amazing 2021 season. Come on. I know you've all already done so much, but I just need to ask for that little bit more if you can. You know, you might be able to give. If you're able to go to bluecoats.com and make a gift tonight, a donation, that would mean so much to me and to all of us, the whole team. So thank you so much.
Yeah, all the students and families who are able to do that, it's just so amazing. You know, it's generosity that we could never have expected. So we really appreciate that so much. We'd also like to thank all the people who bought tickets to any of our 3 home shows, the North Canton show, the Pittsburgh show, the Akron show that would have been tomorrow, as well as DCI tickets through the Bluecoats, you know, to any of the regionals and finals performances. You know, so many of you donated, all are part of your purchase back. You have no idea how much that helped us in not having to make those refunds, and that was an absolute lifesaver, you know, along with the Shield in the early days of this crisis. So thank you so much to all the students and families and fans and parents and alumni who did all that. That was just amazing. So up next, you know, we're going to hear from Bluecoats alumnus and a current member of our brass education team, Brian Warfield. He is the director of bands at Homestead High School in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and he is also the chairperson of our new Bluecoats Diversity and Inclusion Bluecoats Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Council. That's a really awesome project that we've been working on this spring and summer, and let's hear about it, Brian.
Hello, what's up? My name is Brian Warfield. I am an alumnus of the Bluecoats, aged out in 2010, and I spent 3 summers in the tuba section. I'm a member of the brass staff. I'm also a member of the Shield and the chair of the Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Council with the drum corps. On this council with me are Ricardo Brown, Justin Johnson, Kevin Kwaku, Ebony Rose, and our participant liaison and drum major, David Davenport. Over the past couple of months, we've spent time meeting together to address issues of racial inequality and social justice, even within the organization itself. Over our meetings, we've come up with literally hundreds of just ideas and things that we can do to address those issues within our organization. And we've landed on 4 actionable items that are going to spearhead what we do as an organization. Those items are to compile and publish an annual diversity and social economic impact report, to overhaul our scholarship program, to create an outreach program, and to build and publish a 5-year action plan to see to it that we as an organization are sticking to our word and our promise that we are going to become better and more inclusive and very diverse, and really offer as many opportunities as we can to students of all ethnicities, and really target persons of color to be a part of our organization, and just to continue to allow us to grow and stay ahead of the curve. We are one of the few organizations within the activity that has a council like this. I know that there are some other drum corps that are looking to create, if not kind of started that conversation within their organizations. We're very excited about this. There's a lot of work to be done, but it's necessary work and it's good work. Be on the lookout for just more information that's going to come out from our council in the near future. Thank you very much for your time, and Mike and Jen, back to you.
Well, Thank you so much, Brian. This has been a really incredible project to be a part of. Thank you so much to Brian and Rick and the other members of the council for offering your time to help us grow in this area. You know, as I've been working as the chairperson of the InStep committee for DCI for the last couple of years, you know, we're starting to expand our outreach from beyond gender diversity to other types of ethnic, racial, and other diversity within DCI and the marching arts. I think that the work of this council here at the Bluecoats is so important in working to, you know, just improve improve the way we handle things and improve the Bluecoats as a whole, and also to hopefully make some long-term policy decisions that can help make the Bluecoats a better, more anti-racist space.
Yeah, well, you and I were talking just earlier today about, you know, it's unfortunate that the season was canceled. It's unfortunate that everything that we normally accomplish in a year, you know, can't be done. But it has given us some time and some space. A little bit of a saving
grace is some of the stuff we've been able to work on that you don't just never find the time for it.
Right.
Being honest, you know, you should find the time, but you don't always. So.
Right. So this has been, you know, an opportunity for us to address what is an extraordinarily important issue, and what we have now had the time to stop and do right, and to assemble some incredible voices that should be highlighted within our community, and to give them, you know, a platform to work directly with you and I in our executive capacity to make, like you're saying,
to find places where
change.
we can get better and change and make policy decisions that will make a difference for people that are our constituents and our students and our staff for years and years to come. So I'm just really excited about the whole project.
So if you want to meet the whole team that Brian was alluding to, go to bluecoats.com/r-board. You can also meet our board of directors there, who we want to give a big shout out to for their support here, and the Alumni Council that we were mentioning earlier. Those 4 action steps that Brian mentioned can all be found at bluecoats.com/news. The first of those action steps, like Brian mentioned, is the Diversity and Socioeconomic Impact Report. A brief update on that: we're prepared to have that published by the end of the fiscal year. So our goal is to, you know, establish sort of a baseline. Here's where we're at. We've committed to making this report, and here's what 2020 looked like. In addition to that, we've begun working on that 4th action step, which is a much larger project. It is something that's going to require a lot of bandwidth and resources for us to really, you know, sit down with all of our constituency, with our board of directors, with Genevieve and myself, and with the Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Council to assemble a long-term action plan that will help us create a more anti-racist culture at Bluecoats. Some other current events and updates. You know, one of our driving questions, really, especially in March when we were grappling with the cancellation of the season, is, okay, without the drum corps, how can we live up to the promises we've made to all sorts of constituents, but especially to our members.
Students. You know, we've been basically selling or promising the Bluecoats experience to these people, and all this, you know, these students, these kids that we are expecting to have a great season over the summer, and all of a sudden that's not available. And so many other things, you know, have been taken away from people that age, you know, high school and college students. All of their events have been canceled, banned, sports, prom, what have you. So we just thought a lot about what can we, you know, we know it's not going to be the same, but what can we do to continue to deliver on what we call the Bluecoats experience? Right.
So what we came up with, and what you, if you've been following along, you might have seen, we developed a program that sort of replaces the drum corps called Bluecoats in the Cloud. It was free to all members of the 2020 Bluecoats, and it kind of had 3 major components. One was Camp in the Cloud, that was taking this idea of turning our rehearsal camps into a virtual event, which we were kind of figuring out how to do in April. But
it started as just, okay, we'll do one camp that way. Well, it turned into the whole season.
So then we repeated that camp in May, June, and July, and had a Camp in the Cloud each and every month, where students, as they were able to join. We had master classes and special guests. We were able to give updates from Genevieve and myself on the state of the organization and where we were on our fundraising goals. We were able to break into sectionals and hang out with caption heads and all of those types of things. And our caption heads and so many members of our staff put in some incredible work to make those all work. You know, Derek and Lindsay, Jared, Roger, Samia, Brad, Ryan Kilgore. I wanted to write it down so that I could thank you by name. You know, there was a lot of work that went into that.
And all of the staff.
Our entire team. You know, we asked.
You know, just basically out of the goodness of their hearts to make all of this stuff work. It was really incredible.
In a normal summer, we ask so much of our team, but in a summer that's canceled, where, you know, the programming goes away, the funding goes away, for our staff to continue to provide that level of commitment, and like we were saying,
and just really excellence, honestly.
And live up to that promise of delivering the Bluecoats experience. that was humbling to me, and it was so great.
A special thank you to Cavaliers Executive Director Monty Mass for participating
Yes.
in our last camp, giving a kind of a masterclass on judging to the brass students. That was really awesome.
Thank you,
I
Monty.
enjoyed listening and learning from him. So it was
in addition to Camp in the Cloud, Bluecoats Strong, if you're unfamiliar, is normally our preseason health, wellness, and conditioning program. We made sure to extend Bluecoats Strong as a resource to our students all throughout the summertime, and that included some incredible partnership with our medical partner, Marching Health, and Dr.
Yes.
Elliott Cleveland. That was really great to watch. It was awesome to have some of that. We had online workouts and kids, dancing and doing all sorts of stuff together virtually. And Bluecoats Connect was the sort of social arm of that. So we had health and wellness, we had our camps, and then we had Bluecoats Connect. A lot of those were, just social events that were set up by our leadership, but also in coordination with our alumni council. We had, Club Blue, which was a nighttime opportunity to watch old shows together with the alumni. For those of you who aren't an alum, our alumni community is so, tightly integrated into the Bluecoats experience. We have Adopt a Member, and there's normally so much camaraderie. So Bluecoats Connect or Club Blue was an awesome way for that camaraderie to continue to exist. And of course, they watched all sorts of shows.
70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. They chose something from each decade so
Right.
that different alumni could participate, which I thought was a really neat idea.
Yeah, and Tilt was for sure a favorite.
Oh, for sure.
Right. So speaking of Tilt, we're now going to watch that incredible performance. Before we do, 3 quick things to check out. The virtual performances that you're seeing all today, you can find on our YouTube channel. That's Canton_Bluecoats. The Bluecoats Brass podcast, we haven't talked about that much.
Oh man, so cool. Yeah.
We're putting together some
Presented
incredible...
by Hammond Design. Thank you so much to them for sponsoring that podcast.
Absolutely, and that's been so great. And there was kind of a crossover there with the episode we did with Brian.
Yes,
and Rick.
it was about the Black experience in drum corps, and Brian, who you heard from before, as well as Rick Brown, one of our trumpet teachers, and recent Age Out alumni, Richard Alvarado, all contributed to the that Black experience episode, and it was just really interesting. I think a really interesting listen. They had marched in different decades over the past 20, 30 years here, and it's just really interesting to hear about their experiences and what we can learn from that as we move forward as a community. So I recommend everyone check out that episode and all the episodes of the Brass podcast. It's really fascinating, even to me, someone who's in no way a band person, let alone a brass player.
Right. Well, and then of course, shameless plug. Speaking of famous brass moments, the Tilt shirt, it's on sale right now. You can go to bluecoats.com.
Our most popular shirt ever.
And continues to be now that sales continue to come through.
So that pre-sale actually ends tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. So you make sure you get in there and get that Tilt shirt. It's a pre-order, so it'll come in a couple weeks after tomorrow, after the deadline tomorrow. But it's a pre-order. Make sure you go down there and get your shirt today. One time limited opportunity to get that reprint.
So we've been aiming to watch a show around every hour. We've still got about 15 minutes until the next hour begins, so let's stop and talk for a second about, while we're watching the show, what everyone can do to support the organization. Genevieve and John were just alluding to all of the incredible people who purchased tickets or paid program fees and donated those back to us. Before this telethon, we had raised more than $250,000.
That's crazy.
On our goal to raising $350,000 due to the cancellation. So there's already been an incredible amount of support, and we're getting close to $10,000 tonight. There's 2 ways that you can give tonight if you're willing to give, if you're able to give. You can make a one-time gift. Just go to bluecoats.com. It's right there at the top. That one-time gift, everywhere from $1 to $1,000.
$1 million if you have it.
$1 million if you have it, and if your Amex Black Card will let you pay it. Yeah, absolutely. You can mail a check too if you're into that. Though the address for mailing checks is on our website. It's right down there at the bottom of the page. Up to the first $10,000 we raised tonight is matched dollar for dollar. So if you send $1, you've donated $2. If you send $1 million, you've donated $10,000 plus $1 million. But that's all also supportive, and as we've talked about so much tonight, you can also make that gift sustaining. You can make that gift happen, recur every single month. That's called joining the Shield. The Shield is way more than just a recurring donation. You have access to benefits, a private Facebook page when we're in season, all sorts of behind-the-scenes videos, and early access to things like show announcements and what it is our incredible team is dreaming up. that is a wonderful program that ensures that we have the support we need.
And, you know, if you're like me, I see it on my credit card statement every month, and it's just, you know, it's a few bucks a month. It really doesn't put me out too much. It's a couple, you know, as they always say, it's a couple lattes or whatever, you know.
Right.
Most of us aren't going out for as many of those as we used to, so, you know. But it also makes me kind of feel good every time I see it on my credit card statement.
Totally.
It makes me think, okay, this is something that, you know, and if you like, you know, I'm sure a lot of you support arts organizations is one of the main things I've been supporting during this pandemic, because just as someone who works in this, you know, I know that this is one of the hardest hit segments of the economy. So, you know, and I see that and a couple of other organizations on my credit card statement every month. Kind of feel good.
Yeah,
You know?
well, and you've committed to increasing your
I
membership.
have,
I've
yeah.
committed to increasing
Yeah.
my membership tonight. We've heard from a few people. If you're willing to increase your contribution, just send us an email.
Even an extra $5 or $10 a month. I mean, that, to be honest, that really adds up over time, and it really makes all the difference to
Absolutely.
us.
You can email give@bluecoats.com to get that done. If you're a new member, right at bluecoats.com, just click join the shield, and you can become a monthly sustaining member. Every single dollar helps on our way to raising $350,000.
You know, one more shout out I wanted to give before we move into Tilt,
Of
because
course.
I know it's probably what everyone's waiting to see.
Yes.
But you know, the leadership team, the Bluecoats this summer.
Totally.
You know, we talked about Bluecoats Connect and Bluecoats Strong and the Camps in the Cloud. But Nick Kneiper and David Davenport as the drum majors and all of the leadership team, the section leaders.
Yes.
From each group in the Corps, they've just been incredible. They've been meeting all the time. They've been leading some of these activities that the students have been doing, and they've been making sure to, you know, keep everyone engaged and involved in all sorts of ways. And I just want to, you know, say thank you so much to all of those student leaders for going above and beyond to keep everyone engaged and, you know, doing the best we can with the 2020 Bluecoats experience.
Well, as we're learning time and time again, you know, even without the season, we're seeing how much people care about drum corps, how much people care about Bluecoats, how much drum corps and the Bluecoats experience means to us, all of us, and to our lives. And when we see a season go away, that's a huge, you know, kind of a shocking reminder of just how much this means to us.
But it also just made me feel a great sense of pride, you know, in those students,
Absolutely.
you know, and how, you know, everything that they you know, let's face it, no one's under any obligation, you know, students or
right.
staff to do any of this stuff right now.
Right.
So, you know, everyone's doing it because they want to, and in some ways, that's the most telling, you know, that's the most telling thing of all. Sometimes when people do something that they're not obligated to do, you know.
Well, you can join in that support by joining the Shield or making a one-time gift now. Again, everything up to the first 10,000 is matched dollar for dollar, and you can do that while enjoying one of our most famous shows ever. So here we go with our famous 2014
Orange is the new blue
program. Yes, it is Tilt.
Performing their 2014 program, Tilt. From Corps International, the Bluecoats.
Well, that's quite a show, huh? Yeah, absolutely. So, as you can see, I'm joined by another special guest, our executive advisor, former executive director, David Glaska. But before we get to Dave, we have a huge announcement, huge big update for our fundraising totals. We do have 18 new Shield members. However, here's the big update. We've hit that matching goal. We've now raised $21,783. And remember, that's on our way to raising $350. So that brings our new total of our annual fund for this year to $273,054. So we're getting there, folks. Again, this is so important. That goal that we've set of $350,000 is absolutely vital. But there's even more good news. So we had that $10,000 match. And now we have another anonymous donor willing to match us for $5,000. So we've already gotten $1,700 on our way, but as soon as we hit $5,000, we've doubled that money too. So the next $5,000 we donate becomes 10. That's absolutely incredible. I'm so excited for that. And again, this is all a part of that broader goal. Now, a couple of you have asked, if you join the Shield, those contributions, they're counting towards this number too. So are the one-time donations. Someone else asked, how can I update my Shield? If you email us, give@bluecoats.com, we'll take care of it. It won't process right away, but we're including it in our totals, and we'll be sure to follow up that we've processed that. Okay, so now to Dave Glasgow. As many of you probably know, those of you that are alums or have been around the Bluecoats community for a long time, Dave was a director. He led us to our first championship in 2016. He's no longer full-time here, but he's now the executive advisor and working with one of our incredible partners, that's Stanbury Uniforms. So everyone, welcome a Shield member himself, Mr. Dave Glasgow.
Thank you so much, Mike. It's just amazing to be here. This evening has been wonderful. I've had a chance to be able to watch all the way up until now, and I know you guys put so much hard work into everybody in this room, and to my left and to my right. Not everybody in the in the audience can see the team that has put all the work into this event. It's just incredible. It's been wonderful. All that said, we'd much rather be on a field right now.
Of course.
We'd much rather be rehearsing. We'd much rather be performing. And so it's unfortunate that we don't have the opportunity to do that, but again, it's just great to be able to join you guys tonight for this amazing event.
Yeah.
And like you said, I'm also a member of the Shield. Obviously, you and I worked very closely together on putting the Shield together, and that was a really exciting project, and it's just really, really awesome to see, everybody that's getting behind the whole idea of the Shield. And
well, we were talking earlier about how when we canceled, we were a little apprehensive, but people increased their donations and people came and joined, and now we have the largest roster ever of members.
Absolutely, and that's just incredible. So everyone out there tonight that are members of the Shield, we can't thank you guys enough for joining the Shield and again for being here this evening. Mike and Jen are just doing an absolutely incredible job in their, which isn't new anymore now that you guys are in the year 2 of the job.
Right.
And obviously Genevieve's been with us for a very long time, just doing an incredible job the whole way through. But I just couldn't be more proud of the work that you guys have done and will continue to do. And it's just really inspiring. As somebody who's able to, I only live 5 minutes away from here.
Right, not even.
Not even. So, I do, even though I'm not involved in the day-to-day, I do have the opportunity to see all the hard work that you guys put in. And it's really amazing. So congratulations for that. I hope everybody that's not a member of the Shield out there this evening can really join all the members of the Shield in donating 50, 100, 250 during this next segment. We simply cannot continue to do what we've been doing without your support. And so please join us tonight and donate. And I'm going to up my donation tonight.
Great.
Actually, yes, I'll give another $20 a month to the Shield program because again, I really believe in the mission of the Bluecoats, the DCI organization, the drum corps activity, and I want to do everything I can to continue to support it.
Well, thanks, Dave. That means a lot. So you heard it here, folks. That's another $240 pledge from Dave. That's absolutely incredible. Every single one of those, whether it's a new member, whether it's a one-time gift, whether it's a $5 gift or a $500 gift, those are all helping us achieve that goal. And if anyone knows about the importance of that financial system and that support structure, it's you. So that means a lot coming from you, and I appreciate your support of Jen and I, and you've always been such an incredible advocate for the team. So that means a lot. There's a lot more, and this is another thing that a lot about, and that's that there's a lot more here than just the drum corps, and
Yes.
a lot more that goes on, and
Yes.
a lot more programming that we're able to reach. We
Yes.
talk a lot about those 165 kids that we provide the Bluecoats experience to, and that means so much. But of course, there's hundreds of thousands of fans that, come to our performing arts programming
No
across
doubt.
the course of the season.
No doubt.
There's also all of the high school students that come to the Blue Way educational events that we have here in Ohio, that we have in at spring training in Indiana. There's the students that we partner with here locally with enrichment. There's all of these students within an ecosystem and fans and patrons of the arts within our ecosystem who all benefit from Bluecoats programming. So as we're talking about a canceled season, of course that's a huge loss. It's also a major threat to something that's even larger than drum corps, and that's what the Bluecoats organization is as an institution. So Dave knows that better than anyone. Dave's a supporter. Dave's been a supporter from the very beginning. Dave just, more than, you added $20 to your Shield contribution every single month. We have more and more people doing that. We're so appreciative of all of that. But you and I worked on another project.
Yes, we
recently.
did.
I had an opportunity for you to work with Dave again here recently, and that was coming together to figure out a way how to virtually celebrate two amazing individuals who make up the 2020 Hall of Fame class at Bluecoats.
Yeah, absolutely incredible individuals. Not only are they just amazingly creative and have been for a long time, and all the things that they contribute, not only to the Bluecoats, but the entire activity for decades. And the people that they are too. And I mean, you cannot say enough about how these individuals just fit into the culture of our organization. And they truly belong here. They truly belong here. And I'm just really excited to be able to celebrate them tonight.
Yeah, it's tough to do a virtual induction, but because these two individuals mean so much to us as an organization, and because their contribution is art and family, we were at least able to find ways to express that in the conversations that we had in celebrating this. So without further ado, big announcement. On behalf of the board of directors of Bluecoats, I'm incredibly honored to announce the induction of two very, very special individuals on our team. And that is our choreographer and designer, Jim Moore, and artistic director and visual designer, John Vanderkoff. They were nominated for the Hall of Fame, not only by Dave, Genevieve, myself, but also every single member of the Bluecoats design team, which, as Dave said, it's truly a testament to who they are as people, in addition to their contributions as artists to the Bluecoats organization. So, John and Jim, like we mentioned, we had to find a way to talk about what they've done for pageantry as a whole. There's such a history there.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the most famous, some of the most innovative, some of the most forward-looking shows in the history of the activity are a result of the work of the people that we're inducting into the Hall of Fame tonight.
Yeah.
If you look at John's work with Star of Indiana in '93, everybody knows how influential that show was in 1993. And then what he and Jim came together to work on with Blast. You and I talked about this in our conversation.
Yes.
I was 20 years old when the first time I saw Blast. Genevieve and I got in the car and we drove to Detroit.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing, how could you forget him? I remember seeing Jim perform that night, just being absolutely captivated at what he did. And to see that whole production and to think now, almost exactly 20 years later, here we are in the same building as them, not only, inducting them into the Bluecoats Hall of Fame. I couldn't imagine then, it's impossible to imagine then, that we'd be here right now. And so,
and looking back on Blast, like you mentioned, and seeing just how much of what we do today in our art form is reflected in that work, and then to get to see what's going to be newly reflected by their work here, at the Bluecoats.
Absolutely, and then they take all those things that they've learned and they've come to develop for decades, and then we have the honor of bringing them here to the Bluecoats and watching them spread their wings and watching what they, along with our incredible design team, our music designers, Doug, Tom, been here for years and years and years. It was the perfect marriage. We brought John and Jim in, obviously added Greg Lagola, added Michael Rayford along the way, paired them with Doug, Tom, and magic happened. And that's what so much of what you've been seeing tonight are, as the result of that amazing work that they've done.
So like I mentioned, it was difficult for us to find a way to adequately virtually induct these two guys who mean so much to us personally and who mean so much to our art form. So we decided that the best way to do that was by having a conversation, like you alluded to. So here's a video of Dean Westman, our program coordinator, Dave Glasgow, and myself talking about just how much Jim has contributed to Bluecoats and to our art as a whole.
you know, to me, as I think about Jim Moore, and I think about the soul of the Bluecoats and who the Bluecoats are in our hearts, to me, that's where Jim truly makes a difference. I mean, he does incredible things with choreography. He does incredible things with, with writing guard work, with being on the design team, with being on the road almost every day of the summer. But I always know that just the heart of the Bluecoats is always reflected in Jim. And, because of that, he has just become absolutely integral to everything that we do and has had such a huge positive impact on the culture, again, when it comes to the soul of the Bluecoats, that I can't even imagine the Bluecoats without Jim, at this point. So that's how I feel about him.
Yeah, you mentioned, him being a road warrior, right? Like Jim spends, almost every day from the beginning of spring training to the end of the summer. And you're right, there's a cultural impact that is hard to express. It's hard to, I'm glad we're having it in this form, because it's hard to even outline or illustrate that cultural impact. Yeah, absolutely. And, there's just something about Jim's honest approach to the way he feels things should be from a standpoint of the heart that just comes out. And of course it impacts us culturally and what we are as a community, but it also impacts, what we see on the field. There's moments that, just speak so true in Bluecoats productions, and you can see how that aligns with just Jim's view, of the creative process or of, expression and those types of things. And I think there's a character to Jim's work that just comes out so freely and expressively in a Bluecoats production. And that really comes back to that sort of fundamental heart, I think, that Jim has. It's beautiful.
My biggest drum corps mentor ever is, of course, Ralph Hardiman. And he, going back to my youngest days of leading a horn line, he was always adamant about trying to surround yourself with people that helped create, he would use the word, a harmonious vibe, where there wasn't this. And he said, because you can always feel it in the performance, and the kids can sense it every day at rehearsal. And when I think about Jim Moore, I think the words harmonious vibe. Nobody, and I don't mean to put anybody longtime Bluecoats, all respect to every Bluecoat, but nobody loves the Bluecoats like Jim Moore loves the Bluecoats. And that's why I love Jim Moore. He loves it. When that dude moves in, he is so mind, body, and soul lives it 24/7. That I find very inspiring, and he can always find something positive in the negative, and he always stands up for what is right if something is wrong. And he is one of the most student-centered teachers I have ever seen in my life. And there's just I always say when I talk to young music educators, decide what kind of teacher you want to be. Do you want to be the kind of teacher that when a colleague sees you walking down the hallway, they walk towards you because they want to say hi to you and get some of your energy? Or do they want to look for the nearest left or right they can take so that they don't have to deal with you?
That's such a great analogy.
And Jim Moore is a human being that I run towards. And I think if you were to ask the kids, they would say the same thing. The instructors would say the same thing. The administrators would say the same thing. The volunteers who he makes feel so special every opportunity he can, they would agree. That's why when I say he loves it, he, every single member of the team matters as much to Jim, and he doesn't see himself as any better. Jim sees the people who drive our buses as the most important people in our organization. Why? Because they are. And Jim never loses focus of that. So to me, it's just echoing what you guys are saying. I would like to believe he represents everything that we want to be organizationally.
You can't underestimate the amount of time that he really puts into what he does, and the time that he spends on the road, which is, we all know from being on the road for long stretches of time, is challenging. But if he were not there, we would not be as good as we are. He is constantly focused on the design. He's constantly focused on, making sure that everything is produced. That really is, I think, if you look at everything that he does, and he does so much, choreography for the brass, choreography for the color guard, but really he looks at the whole production. He looks at what John puts together and what the music designers put together, and he puts that final layer of production on top of it. And I'm not sure that there's ever been anybody better. There's maybe in the history of the activity at doing that, at producing those moments to take them from an 8 to a 10. And that wouldn't happen if he weren't on the road every day to make that happen. And that's what makes him so valuable to the overall production of
that's on. Yeah, there's that side, and then there's the behind the scenes side in the winter. I would say that nobody other than us few get to see about Jim. I think he is the ultimate barometer, thermometer of where we are at, and like, he is so my spirit guide. Right. And what's beautiful about that is he knows that, and he never takes advantage of that. He knows he could make me, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he knows he could sway me away but I gotta say, when I think about through some of our moments, whether it was, is this it, questioning it, or, oh yeah, that's it. When Jim feels it, I'm like, okay, it might not be perfect, because then I know there's always 5,000 layers of Tom and Doug that need to figure out what the it is and what are we going to hear and all that. But when that moment when Jim kind of has that thing that he can't hide, he's got the worst poker face in the world next to me. I'll give you a great example. We knew the music was going to be cool until he liked the Vienna Tang right away. Not everybody trusted the Vienna Tang right away. Jim felt that, and that made me feel good. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about those guys as a collective. If you want like a great backstory thing, or a behind the scenes story of that, when I think of like moments of like light bulb moments with them, a great example would be in wherever we were, Ohio, in some conference room, the Tilt year, when John just had the old school Pieware drill paper or whatever it was, like the actual paper, drill paper. And then they just took the little pieces of orange tape and they just changed the frame and it was just that one little thing. And then those two, their heads exploded.
There's an honesty about the opposite end of the barometer too. When, we could talk for hours and hours and there's a conversation and this and that and this and that. And it's like, okay, anybody else have any thoughts?
2016 ballot.
Yeah. And Jim's the guy that says like, I don't get it. I don't feel it. This isn't right. And it's like, all right, yeah, you're right. Totally. We just, we were having that conversation. We were lying to ourselves. And it's like, all of a sudden everyone sees like, oh yeah, no, totally.
Kinetic noise in general, the choreographic language that he gave that, when I watch that ballad now and the way he choreographed the Bon Iver tune, I would put that on a stage in New York City with lighting and pride the level of artistry and that one to me, which is kind of a subtle, like, you know, there's probably a lot of others he's done, but you know what I mean? And I'm not just talking about the guard, the holistic approach
I'm trying to
of
think
that
of
whole program. And I remember he used to go into critiques and he would talk to like brass judges, and he would try, you know, the leg position that they would put him in, and he'd be like, you go home and you take your horn out. I want you to stand there for 5 minutes and just hold a concert F and see how that goes for you.
Yeah.
To me, the 2016 ballad, great gig. I mean, everything he did with the guard and the staging of the guard and because getting all the right people in the right places is one thing, which John did masterfully, and moving the props in and out of all those, those different, set design moments, is hugely challenging. As those of us that we've lived through that process, we know it's hugely challenging. But with what Jim did with getting them up and down the slides, and it was a work of art.
To me, it's more of a foundational moment. It was when we were at April Camp 2016, and we brought the set out for the first time, and that was like an order of magnitude more extreme than we'd ever seen before. And I just remember standing in the shadow of those things, like, how the heck are we going to do this?
Yeah.
But we put a couple of performers in some prototype costumes, remember, and we brought them. And I just remember, it was so like nuclear and organic. It was just like John and Jim and a couple of slides and a couple of kids in like a thrown together prototype costume, and just watching Jim just make shapes, and then looking back on that and seeing how those shapes just became the identity of like this whole show, right? Like a show like that, it was so new, it was so, abstract. So it's like, but for it to have such an identity, such a tangible, like, what Downside Up feels like, it has this like whole identity on its own. And looking back and seeing Jim just like make those fundamental shapes, those fundamental ideas, which no one had ever seen before, right? Like, it was a brass kid in a white costume, and just like seeing that and the vision that had to require was like, I love looking back at that and seeing that come together.
Having one person kind of establish the choreographic language for an entire production, I think really helps, the seamlessness from start to finish.
Wow.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
It brings back a lot of memories,
For
a
sure.
lot of amazing memories.
For sure.
So Jim is, he lives in Hawaii,
Yeah.
and so he has been stuck in Hawaii. I feel so bad for him.
Yeah, I do too.
But he's been stuck in Hawaii, obviously in quarantine, so he can't be with us tonight. But he did send us a video,
Yes.
and so we'll see this, and hopefully he's watching this tonight. And Jim, just know we love you, man, and congratulations.
Love you, Jim.
Hi everyone, Jim here. I am currently in Hawaii, where I've been residing for the last 12 years. Man, I wish I was on a bus or on a football field sweating with everyone right now and getting ready for a show with the Bluecoats and watching those 150 kids go out and do what they love. But as we all know, that's not the case right now. But if I wasn't to say I'm completely, utterly humbled by this, it would be an understatement. I want to just say thank you. Thank you to the board of directors, to Mike Scott, to Genevieve Geisler, to everyone in that organization. I think back to 2012 when Dave Glasgow approached me about coming on board to the team, and to this day I'm forever grateful for that moment because it changed my life. It changed the trajectory of my drum corps path and my perception of how to create with a group of people that came together. And it has done nothing but impact my life in a way that is so positive. To think that I get to work with the likes of Doug Fowler, Tom Rarick, John Vanderhoff, Greg Lagola, Carol Abahatab, Dean Westman, all of them, and Michael Rayford. It's just a dream. I think the thing that's so cool about the Bluecoats is that there's no ego in the room. We're allowed to be creative in our own way. We're allowed to have an idea. We're allowed to present those things. Everyone's opinion is valid, and that's why it works. You can't do things. You can't always be right, because if you're right, you'll never get better. And I appreciate that so much. Being able to be surrounded by a family, by love, by acceptance of everyone. It's completely humbling, this honor, and I hope the words are escaping me because I'm truly blessed to be a part of this organization daily. I'm completely and utterly grateful to everyone along the way that's been there for me, that's been there for the journey, and I want to thank everybody. Again, it's unbelievable. And what I do know is that through all of this, through the leadership and guidance of Mike Scott and Genevieve Geisler, we will be back. We'll be back and we'll be better than ever. And I can't wait for that day. I can't wait to be back on that bus, to be back on that field, be back in that gym, be back in that field house, and watch 150 young adults succeed and grow in life and get the things out of drum corps that I got, and hopefully can impact their lives again. And I'm so fortunate to be a part of this place, of this organization. It's given me a family. It's given me a place of love. And for that, I will forever be grateful. Thank you again to the board of directors for giving us this place and keeping it running and keeping it a place of love. But we will be back, and I can't wait to be there with you again. I can't wait to share the love again of drum corps with our audiences, with our kids, with our community of people, with the staff that I love so dearly, and all the friends that we have across the world. Again, I don't know what else to say, but thank you. I am completely humbled and blessed by all this. So thank you very much, and we'll see you in 2021. Thanks so much. Thanks, Jim.
We miss you so much, and congratulations. We wish so much, we wish you could be here with us. Of course, you can't, and I cannot wait for all of us to be reunited again. Just like you said, you know, there's so much to look forward to for when we can come back, and your contributions are so, we're so grateful for everything that you've contributed, both as an artist, but also as a person to our family and to our community. Before we move on to celebrating John, a couple of quick updates, especially if you're just joining us. We're getting real close to that new $5,000 match. The donations are coming in. You all have been so generous. It's so amazing to watch the outpouring of support. Donations from $5 to, you know, hundreds of dollars. We have so many new members of the Shield. It's all coming in. It's all so generous, and so many people who are already donors making another one-time contribution or increasing the amount of their Shield. Our president of our board, Scott Swaldo, made a donation more than $200 just recently. So much support coming in. It's just so humbling, and we're so appreciative. Let's get that $5,000 match, and then let's go beyond that. We're all on our way to raising $350,000 for our total fundraising goal. So now let's talk about John. So we're inducting two incredible people. The second one, of course, is our very own artistic director, John Vanderkoff. And like with last time, we had, like with Jim, we had a similar conversation, you, Dee, and I, sitting down to talk about John. So John's in the room with us, so we're going to make him watch this along with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is a conversation celebrating the incredible input of John Vanderkoff.
So I think the first time that I had actually thought about John Vanderkoff and could he have a role with the Bluecoats was before I even took the job as the director, because, you know, I always saw what John had accomplished, and I had a general awareness at the time of, you know, who kind of was out there, who was at the top of their game. And to me, I knew that John, given his background, it always just seemed like a great fit, because he was also the one person that was not in the DCI game at the time either. You know, he was so focused on Blast. Obviously, he was with Star in '93, and it's just incredible when you think about all the historic shows that he's been a part of. But I knew he was doing Blast, and I always thought he would be a good fit here. And again, he was the person that was not in the game at the time, that I thought if we really needed somebody to, you know, get us to that final competitive place, he was somebody that I always had in the back of my mind as someone who would be a great fit for the Bluecoats. It was like a no-brainer.
I thought when you look back on it now, you can really see that it was cool, Dave, that you put this team to get together little by little of not children, like of adults, people who had real life experiences. Blast. Just speaking with John the other day at dinner and hearing some of the stories of the earlier brass theater productions that him and Jim put together in Branson, Missouri. When you attract adults like that to your organization, putting a drum corps show together becomes a pretty fearless proposition, because you are, and Downside Up for sure, those guys educated Dave and I in a big way, because we took the leap of faith clearly with them. There was never no, we can't have the ramps, we can't have the costumes, we got to keep the look. They're like, never. It was Dave found a way to say yes. As a program coordinator, you know, I have my reservations because I'm my age and I grew up in drum corps, but there was this trust in John and of course, and in Jim, because of that Blast experience that, like, they just had, you know, I felt like they're like, okay, I get why you're worried, but we've done this thing here. And then they proved that it was like the greatest leap of faith the organization could ever take. And I would argue John Vanderkoff changed drum corps as dramatically and I believe for the better as any artistic leader in the activity has ever.
I completely agree. I think there's been so many talented people throughout the entire activity, but you're hard pressed to find somebody that has really done as much for as long as he's done it. And I would expand that even beyond drum corps and into obviously what he did with Star, what he did with Blast, what he does in Winter Guard, WGI, what he's done, with the Bluecoats Winter Guard, with Santa Clara Vanguard Winter Guard over the years, Emerald Marquis before that.
Well, take it back home to Canada, what he was doing when, with the Ventures.
Right.
Check those guys out.
Right,
Exactly.
real. Every element, everything that he's touched really has turned to gold. And it's amazing how he does it too. He does it in such a way that is so down to earth and is so honest and is so accommodating to the collaborative process that to me, that makes it one of the reasons why he's even more successful, is because he always has a clear vision of what he wants to do, but he always asks for, invites, and then acts upon great ideas from other people.
Right.
And to me, I think that's one of the most important skills really in anything that anyone does. And it's one of the things that he's so good at.
What I've realized is in this activity, if you really want to do something at the tippy top level, whatever that means, I don't mean that in a trophy way. Boy, when you can have somebody like, there's the triple threat, right? If you can act, sing, and dance. So what is John? Think about how many threats he has. The fact that he can stage, that he can write awesome drill, that can stand up to the best of the best. The fact that he can take Doug and Tom's score and do like a score analysis the way that like I would as a conductor, right, to stage us to sound the way we can do. The people he surrounds himself in his circle, Greg, Jim, the list goes on and on of, you know what I mean? And there's so many threats he brings. And then on top of it, the fact that he's willing to live it so much, move in and be in spring training, like be there and live it and do it. And not the way Dave and I and Mike, not the way we did it. We learned, today we're going to learn page 1 through 5. And it was right. You learn drill. Right. And to see, and that's why when I say change the activity, I think he changes the way people are starting to not just put shows together, but the way we teach the shows to kids. He's one of the most inclusive teachers I've ever seen, as far, you know what I mean by that? Like when I watch John Vanderkoff teach, it's not just, I'm going to spew you information, then I'm going to say, understand, and then everybody's going to militantly go, yes, and reset. It is a true back and forth where he will see a kid do something and he you know what I mean? He makes it a collaborative learning experience.
That honest collaboration for John, it extends way beyond just sort of the designers in a hotel room having a conversation about, some cool thing they saw on YouTube, all the way down to, those magical moments where he's on the field, with his score in hand and he sees something that a kid does and says, hey, do that again, and that extends to everybody on the team too, that extends to Jim, that extends to just this holistic collaboration that really has gone so far beyond just like being a drill writer to our whole team adopting, from the food service to the props to the instructors on the field, adopting this. I think you mentioned, this idea that we're going to be fearless, Dean. We're going to just say yes. We're going to try to make it work. And that has really extended so far beyond, what I was used to when I marched the Bluecoats. It's crazy when you really start to think about all of the places that the tentacles have improved, our systems. We have gotten better everywhere in order to support, that vision. And that's totally true. And you're absolutely right. I mean, last summer was my first summer, of course, in my new role. And yes, John Vanderkoff pushing me is that's top of the list as far as challenges of last year. And in the best way possible, I was better at my job because of that, because you roll out of your bunk on the bus and it's 6 a.m. and there's John Vanderkoff already at his computer. And you barely had one sip of coffee, you're still in your boxers, and John Vanderkoff's asking you 10,000 questions, hey, did we get this done? Hey, what about this? Hey, can we do this? Hey, I have this idea about, and you're just let me have a cup of coffee, John. Hold on 1 second. You know what I mean? And it's that drive, just, and like you said, Dave, he's always nice about it, right? That's never a concern, right? But at the same time, there's this drive for excellence that really is so powerful that it lifts the entire organization. There's not a person, I don't think, at the Bluecoats organization that hasn't gotten better at something or improved or raised their standard because of the standard that's set by John. I think that's absolutely true.
Well, I mean, I'll say this as a kid who grew up watching drum corps in the 70s and 80s in Chicagoland. If you would have told me as a fan of the activity back then that the Bluecoats were going to be the organization, for a period of time that is driving, that is at the vanguard of the activity, the forefront of what's going on. If you would have told me that in the mid 80s, I would have not believed that. And I think John Vanderkoff has to be considered one of the single biggest reasons that is the case.
So of course we couldn't have Jim with us this evening, but as you know, we have had John with us all evening. So it is great, even though this is a virtual induction, to have you here, to get to celebrate with you,
Michael.
even with this small team. Congratulations. We love you so much. Every word was true.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty overwhelming to hear all that. You know, I just feel lucky. You know, I certainly don't think anything special of myself or what I do. I just feel like I've been given gifts, you know, pretty much my whole life, of just having amazing people in my life that push me, you know. And I think about the beginning days with my dad. When I was a drum corps baby, you know, basically I was a mascot. My little lederhosen when I was 3 years old for the Dutch Boy Cadets.
We need that picture.
Yeah, it's somewhere. I have it somewhere. You know, and I was just, you know, I just followed my dad around everywhere. And then that evolved to go into the Cadets, which is, you know, that was at the time, like in the mid-'80s, the Cadets were just the deal. And George Zingali, a huge effect on me. It just inspired someone to be great. It always made you feel like you were part of something special, like, all the time. And there's so many other people there too, you know, Michael Klesch and things like that. But everyone affected me, and it kind of drew me into music school. I was going to go into pre-med. If actually it started that, and it was because of Michael Klesch and George that kind of got me into the music, something I'd always loved. And somehow my mom got me a scholarship. This is like somebody who's never played third valve on a trumpet, because I was drum corps. We were sopranos back then, two valves,
right.
Seriously.
Right.
And somehow I got a scholarship to go to UNLV in Las Vegas and study with this phenomenal trumpet teacher. And the funny thing about that is, for the first year there, my trumpet teacher would hold my feet down because I couldn't play without marking time. I didn't know how to do that. Yeah. But you know, he inspired me, and all this time I was. You know, I was doing the ventures, the all-girls. I started designing for them, which was lucky. You know, why? I was inspired by George, but you know, they just gave me a shot. And it's something I guess I really wanted to do. And then it evolved into the Star of Indiana. I don't honestly know how that happened. I don't know. I was teaching at Cadets, and Jim Mason came and asked me, and I said no, like a few times, probably out of insecurity, to be honest with you, because this was George and Todd Ryan and, you know, everybody, and they were phenomenal. And that was, you know, and then here I am, I'm surrounded by it. And the thing I remember when I say I'm lucky is, I don't know why this happens. I don't know why these things happen. I remember Wesley Johnson, he was a dancer in '87, and he was with Star choreographing, and it was amazing stuff. And I just feel like he was a big push to get me there, and I don't really know why. I don't know why, but here I was surrounded by Donnie and Jim Prime and Tom Hannum and Billy Gerberg, you know, and Bob Dubinsky, and just all these people that are icons and so just amazing, and Todd Ryan, you know, and I just felt like they always had their arm around my shoulder saying, "You got this. You can do this." And why? I don't know. They just did. Lucky, you know. And then that evolved into Blast. And again, we started meager, and then that whole thing grew into be something. It's just support from the people I'm around. You know, Jim Mason. Maybe this is one to talk about Jim more, but through the beginning, from '93, I mean, he's been he's not my right-hand guy. He's like my brother. I don't even know we're like the same person in a way. Somehow, he's been my partner forever in doing this stuff, and he's just so inspiring, and he alone has changed every single thing. He's changed every activity that he's been a part of, in ways that probably people don't even realize, you know, the kind of stuff that he brought to them, both from a performer's perspective and choreographically. You know what I mean? He changed drum corps. He absolutely changed drum corps. And he still does to this day, you know, and then I got back into the activity. You know, all this Winter Guard things, and believe me, when I did my first Winter Guard show in '93, I had no idea. George Oliviero flew me to WGI the year before just because he wanted me to see it. But that's the first WGI I saw. Next thing I knew, I was writing for Emerald Marquis. I had no idea, no business doing that. But it was because of Jim and Greg, you know, that I just had the support, and they were there with me, and I just worked hard. And then that evolved, got back in the activity. After Blast took off, got back in the activity, and came to Bluecoats. And I remember I remember that moment meeting Dave. What's that bar outside of
Basie's?
Basie's, yeah. So
That's
it
how
was
I got my job
2012. But no, I don't know how it all happened. I had been with Madison. I knew that my end there was happening. They, it was all great. And I remember sitting in the stands. I think at semifinals with my two daughters, watching the Bluecoats and just being amazed. Like, that is a fantastic drum corps. They did everything so well. And I'd heard of Dave, but I didn't really know Dave. And I came off, Madison finished, and I went over to Basie's, and I met Andy Rochek, and then Tommy and Michael Gray. And the next thing, Dave and I were talking, and I think it was like pretty much a week later, I just knew as soon as I met Dave, to be honest with you, that's when I knew that this was it. It was like getting a big, I think I said this earlier, it was like getting a big hug.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm lucky. I go to people that make you feel like they're just going to hug you.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
It's a good strategy.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's not conscious. It just kind of happens. I don't know. And then from then, this whole, Jim and I came here, and Greg came here, and Michael came here, but the whole design team that was already here and established, just amazing people. Like, they're curious and inspired, and every year it's something new. I'm just pushed. And all the time you feel like, you're in a huddle with your friends going like this. You never feel like you're by yourself here. So and I look at all the things that I've done, and I never really think about it till I see a video like that. I've been part of a lot of things, but I still feel, and I think it's because of the Bluecoats, I feel like I'm just at the beginning. I really do. Yeah. I feel like this is like we've just barely scratched the surface of what we're capable of. And so I'm so thankful for this family. I'm thankful and so happy for my friend, my best friend in the world, Jim Moore. So deserved for you, and I love you. And all that, I'm humbled by this. I don't really know why it's happened, but thank you. Thank you, my friends, and thank you, my family here. And mostly I just want to get to next year and get back on the bus. Seriously, I'm going to tour all summer next year. I miss it so much. So
I'm going to have to wake up early.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you so much.
Well, you're right, John. It's absolutely a family, and I don't think anyone in our family could imagine it without you. That's been pivotal, and Jim too, and the fact that you two come as a pair, as a best friend pair that just can create together so beautifully and just be so heartfelt in everything that you do, whether it's art or whether it's being a part of the family. That just means so much to all of us, and so
I got just on what you said there. It's the kids.
Yeah.
Those they come at you wide-eyed and excited and inspired, and they're just so open. You know what I mean? They just want to be part of something great. So you feel like, oh my gosh, I gotta go. Yeah. I gotta do more.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing more rewarding than that.
Well, that's a loop though too. We get those students because they know what we're after and what you're after from a heartfelt creative standpoint, and that just sort of it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that has created such magic here. So that's just in and of itself, that's a reason for you to be in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely.
Just lucky. I'm lucky to be surrounded by just beautiful people.
Well, we've spent a lot of time celebrating two incredible inductions into our 2020 Hall of Fame class virtually. We are going to celebrate with them again next year when we induct our 2021 class in person at our major event here in Canton. We'll be sure to bring you down on the field and give you your physical trophy and get to.
You get trophies?
You get a trophy. Yeah. So we're excited for that. We're so excited for that. While we've been celebrating your induction and Jim's induction, and when we were watching Tilt, we have had an incredible amount of success, and we've reached that matching gift also. So we now have 24 new sustaining members of the Shield. Now, put that in context, there were just over 200 members of the Shield when we started this telethon. So a 24 member increase is just incredible. This is absolutely the single largest roles of membership we've ever had. And again, all those 24 and the 200s before them, they're all giving monthly. They're all contributing to our programming each and every month. They're making all the amazing creations of John and Jim possible. They're making all the experiences that our students have, that hundreds of thousands of our patrons and fans have, that all of the students in the Blue Way and other educational events that we offer here in Canton and around the country, that all is contributed monthly by those supporters. And look at this. We've reached that next $5,000 match. We're almost to $30,000 donated. And keep in mind, this is in a much bigger total. That $30,000 brings us, let's see, what is it? To almost $281,000 on our way to achieving a goal of raising $350,000. So come on, folks, we've got a little bit more time here. It's going on 9 o'clock. We're probably going to go for maybe another half hour, 45 minutes. We'll see how it goes, but get those contributions in now. I want to thank some incredible donors. Jim Storad, I cannot believe how supportive you've been this year. You're one of the highest donors in the Shield. You've volunteered what has to be thousands of hours in support of our programming, and you just donated $1,000. That's incredible. So thank you so much for that. We also have, I'm going to slaughter this name, sorry, Jennifer Queenlin, Mika Carrick, Kim Hart, Kevin Stahl, thank you so much. He's a brand new member of the Shield. Dr. Ryan Kilgore, our music ensemble coordinator, made a donation. Bill Hamilton, who's been in the drum corps. He was in the 1972, the first drum corps, still an employee here, incredible supporter just by his sheer dedication in all 48 years of our history. He just became a member of the Shield. Lisa Brooks, Matt Sternberg, Dan Coleman, thank you, Dan, that you have been so enormously generous of both your time and your contributions this year. That's incredible. Thank you, Dan. Jacob Moore, a brand new member, and more pouring in. We can't even keep the teleprompter going. There's more and more. Please go to bluecoats.com. If you're watching this on social media, Facebook or Twitter, go to bluecoats.com. You can make a one-time donation. It's very easy. You can make it with your credit card. You can mail us a check. We'll make sure that gets added to our totals afterwards. Or, like we've been spending so much time talking about, you can become a member of the Shield. Your monthly donation will happen each and every month off the credit card that you start on the day that you register. That's been a question. That donation joins in the suite of support from now going on almost 250 members of the Shield who give to us each and every month in support of both our recovery and of the future of Bluecoats. So thank you so much. Now, we normally have two big traditions at our big show of the year. One is the Hall of Fame induction, which we just did virtually. And the other is the fact that we're in Canton. We can take that opportunity to unite our staff and our performers and our alumni. And you and I were talking earlier about how cool that night is.
It's pretty amazing. Really, I had no idea. I think until maybe 4 years, the first time I had gone to that show.
Yeah, right.
You know, the support. It must have been until it must have been my first year.
That was probably in Massillon that year, yeah.
Obviously, you go in there and everybody in the entire stands has an orange shirt on. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the support. I imagine being a performer, getting to perform, in front of that. In front of that audience, just the love and the coolest thing. First of all, the show, no matter what, they're just winners. And after that, they go on and they do their encore, and everybody, all the audience is just then cramped all down front.
Yeah,
you know
right,
what I mean?
right.
And it's like a mosh pit kind of feeling, and it's man. And I swear that the chord puts no extra energy in those fortissimo chords. Absolutely, it's a memory. You know what I mean? It's like a moment. Every time that happens, it's like another moment in life.
Yeah. Well, we've talked throughout the night about the incredible contributions of our alumni council and how they lead our entire alumni community in sort of ensuring that the long tradition of membership and the alumni experience lives on throughout our history. And a very special part of that encore after the Boxer is when all of the alumni can come together.
Yeah, I love that.
And we play Autumn Leaves together in front of that home crowd. That's such a beautiful moment every year on tour, like you're mentioning. But of course, we can't have that. But there was a cool trade-off this year in doing our Autumn Leaves tradition virtually, because we're going to premiere tonight a performance of Autumn Leaves that includes a member of every single season of the Bluecoats since our founding in 1972. So please enjoy this very special virtual performance. This is the 2020 Bluecoats featuring our alumni from our entire history.
wow. It's so neat that they were able to include someone from each and every year that the Bluecoats has been in existence. I can't believe they were able to pull all that together. Even the soloist from the original performance of Autumn Leaves in 1987, Frank Pasquarella. Thank you so much to everyone who participated in that. Also special thanks to Jay Wise, Pat Guerin, Angel Gonzalez, and every alumni who worked on putting that video together. That was really great. Now, just, you know, we have a little bit more to go here. Our final show that we're gonna that we're gonna show is gonna be our 2016 Bluecoats show coming up, plus one more new virtual performance. But before that, we have a couple other special guests to bring in.
No.
Some really great Bluecoats fans.
Come on in, girls.
We have Jillian and Marika Geisler-Glasgow, along with Ella.
Don't hide.
Come on, a special outfit. Show it, Marika. She has her baby doll dressed up in a downside up
Come on.
shirt.
Come on.
You just
All
take
right,
the
all
doll.
right.
It's okay.
Here, we'll at least show you the
She's a
doll.
little shy, but we've got Ella here in her special downside up outfit. I think that's pretty cool. So the girls really miss drum corps too, and they like to say hi to all our fans out there. So Marika's a little shy, but here's Jillian. Say hi.
Hi.
All right, thanks, guys.
And there she goes.
There she goes. All right.
One more time.
Back up.
Cross.
There we go.
Bye. There we go.
So there's some of they've actually, you know, it's funny to think about, but you know, they've been around drum corps their whole entire lives. In 2010, when the Bluecoats got our very first medal, I actually was 9 months pregnant with Jillian out on the field on finals night. She was born 10 days later, and ever since then they've been a part of every single season. So it's been pretty neat for Dave and I to bring them along on the drum corps experience and for them to get to meet everyone involved, and pretty neat. So next up, we're gonna talk a little bit about another fundraising update before we get into the 2016 Downside Up show. So one thing, we've got another Shield member. We're up to 25 Shield members tonight. That's amazing.
Awesome.
This is something that I think is, I can't even believe this, 344 individual donors tonight.
Wow.
That is
That's
crazy.
incredible.
That's a lot. That's
That's-
more than I was really expecting. That's incredible. And then our total raise tonight is up to, I think, about $30,000 with the overall funding, the overall fundraiser up to $281,000 plus dollars. That's pretty incredible. Thank you so much to everybody. We've got about 20 or 30 minutes left here. If you have that one little bit more bit to give, now's the time. So up next, we're gonna show Downside Up, our championship show. You know, of course, that was a really special moment for Dave as the director and me as the operations director and finance director at the time. For the girls and for all of us involved, you know, what an incredible experience for the Bluecoats to win their first championship. I will just never forget being out in the field for the encore performance in particular that year. It was just incredible.
Yeah, it was.
The kids were there with the grandparents watching, everybody. I mean, it's something else.
Yeah, moments like that you'll just absolutely never forget. You know, I remember that show being, and John can attest to this. He's standing to my left. I remember being so nervous.
Oh my God.
That whole year,
Yeah.
because it was we decided to take so many chances, and you know. And I, of course, I knew in my heart that it would all come together. But you always have that moment.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember after the April camp, coming home thinking to myself, this is either going to be the greatest thing ever, or this is going to be a colossal failure.
Well, it was the whole thing with the ballot that year. You know, they just chose it at the new one at the April camp.
Right, and it's amazing how that works.
You know, it's an amazing part of the process that the designers came, you know, together to make.
It really is. And in my experience in the 15 years that I was the director, every time we made a decision like that, in the last minute, it always ended up being the right one. Even if in that moment it makes you nervous, there's something about just allowing the show to cultivate and allowing to get to a point where you know, just in your guts, for the designers, they know in their guts what's going to work.
I think a lot of that comes down to the trust that we've had in the design team,
Oh,
but
no doubt.
also the trust that John was talking about and Jim, that they've had in each other all this time. You know, the pieces coming together with Doug and Tom that were already here, and then Vince and later Matt as part of the music team, and then John and Jim and all the other visual designers. You know, I think a lot of that, you know, you don't always have a team that could make a change like that happen or make a
Sure.
decision like that and make it work. But in the end, that's something that actually is what is contributing to our success rather than the opposite.
Absolutely, and you know, we've obviously John and Jim. Congratulations to them!
That's
Just an
so
amazing
amazing.
accomplishment.
It's
being named Bluecoats Hall of Fame members. But
It's neat being a part of the induction process and having them be, there are people that work here, and work for, Mike and I, or have worked for David, but they're also some of our very best friends in the whole entire world. So it's just a really touching process for us as well in that regard.
They really are, and both Doug and Tom, Doug Thrower and Tom Rarick, are Bluecoats Hall of Fame members already, and have been for almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
But you really, the work that they have done, the consistency, the incredible identity that they give the Bluecoats in terms of the sound. If you can hear the core warming up, both the battery, the front ensemble, the brass line. You can hear them warming up from a mile away, playing through segments of music, and there's
you know who it is.
Absolutely, there's no question who it is. And really, Doug and Tom and our electronics designers have given us that
A
identity.
lot of that's all been a labor of love over the years. I want to point that out. For Jim and John and all the rest. Doug and Tom and Vince before, and now Matt and all. All the rest of the designers and the caption heads. This is a labor of love, and it's not something that people are getting rich off of. It's something they really care about, but because they are working with their friends and they believe in this project and how the experience that we're providing for students. It's something that they give. It's more than just a job for us and for them. It's something. It's a lifestyle. I always say. So.
It definitely is, and anybody who's given any ounce of their energy or time to the activity knows it really is a lifestyle.
So we're just hoping that through your generosity, we can keep making that possible for everybody in years to come. So next up we're gonna do Downside Up. We're gonna show you guys that, and then we're gonna flip to that very last thing. It's our final live virtual performance premiere. So 2 more awesome contributions. I hope you guys can, keep making that little bit more money to get us to the end.
Performing their 2016 program, Downside Up. Drum Corps International is proud to present the Bluecoats.
What a show!
Wow.
What a show.
Well, like I said before, I have so many memories from that night.
Oh my gosh. Just from the moment we arrived at Indianapolis, there was just this spirit of joy and excitement that we had accomplished that.
And anxiety.
And anxiety. Lots of anxiety for sure. But that show to me just speaks so beautifully, regardless of the championship. It just speaks so beautifully to what we are as an organization and what we were able to accomplish in the summer. And not having that right now, it just feels so bittersweet just because that was so special.
It'll get you down if you let it, that's for sure. So.
Well, that 12 minutes was really successful, really successful.
But before we give you our next fundraising update, we have a very important announcement.
Yes.
So by popular demand, we have had hundreds, if not thousands of comments on social media wondering, is this drum real?
Or cake.
Or is it cake? And so, I give you the honors, Mike.
I'm sorry, Yamaha. Oh, it's real.
It's real. It's real.
It's real. For all of you who don't understand and aren't on TikTok, we can't explain it all, but to all of you on YouTube who were incessant, it is indeed real, courtesy of Yamaha.
And you now owe us each at least a $5 donation
Yes.
for showing you whether
Yes.
or not it was cake.
We're charging $5 for everyone who commented when wondering whether it was cake. That alone would raise us $5 million.
If you're confused now, just ignore that segment.
Yes, just ignore it. Okay, but let's talk about the incredible success that we have had.
Unbelievable.
From all those people who haven't been commenting about cake.
Yes, spending their time typing their credit card information to bluecoats.com/telethon.
Right, so this is an incredible number, given that we were just over 200 before, and now we have 25 new sustaining members in the Shield. That's just
Every single month, 25 times 12 times each of those people's giving. Can you imagine how much that's going to add up over the next
Yes.
year or more?
It's incredible, and that makes August the single biggest and most successful
In the-
month in the history of
in
the
the
Shield
history of the
program.
Shield
And in the
program.
history of the Bluecoats organization. So thank you so much.
Can't
That
thank you
brings-
enough.
That plus our one-time donation. Well, here's the total donors tonight. Yeah, I mean we're 300, almost 360 total donors. 2 more people, and we've had 360 people support
And you know,
our recovery.
You know what I love? It's every level from $5 up to $1,000 or more.
Yeah.
Like that. I love everyone giving what they can. That's what the Bluecoats really are all about. so.
Absolutely, and you know we've done a poor job at highlighting one button that's at bluecoats.com right now, and that's the See Our Supporters button. That button will have these 358 people just as soon as we can get done typing them in, plus every person who has contributed to our 2020 annual fund. And it is the most successful annual fund that we've ever had. That's members of the Shield, that's people who were generous enough to donate hundreds or thousands of dollars in ticket purchases and program
Tour
fees, educational fees.
auction.
That's people who joined the Shield, that's people who made gifts, that's some of the incredible institutions within the Canton community who are supporting us in a really,
So
really big
generous.
way during our recovery. So that all of those donors plus these 358 plus all the members of the Shield, they all add up on our way to raising $350,000. Just tonight, that's $30,444. That's appropriate for session 44.
That's
And
right.
here's our big reveal for where we're at right now. We're at
Wow.
281.
What a lot of progress
It's-
just tonight. That's crazy.
Just tonight. Tonight has been the single biggest day of support, absolutely.
To be honest, not that I was selling anyone short, but this is more than what I
Yeah,
expected.
this is absolutely incredible. And again, that's on our way to 350,000.
And folks, we still have a little time left.
We
so
do have time
We're going to
left.
list off a few of our most recent donors, and then we have one more big reveal tonight,
Yes.
or one more big premiere
Yes.
of a live event. So.
Gary Davis, thank you so much. Kate McIlvain has been sitting here furiously keeping all of our donation totals up to date, and she still found time to make a donation herself.
Oh, she
Thank
joined
you,
the Shield,
Kate. Yeah,
actually.
she joined the Shield, so she's our newest member. Thank you, Brian Track,
Former
Sarah
board
Stahl.
member, amazing guy. Thank you, Brian.
Yes, Sarah Stahl also sitting in here working her butt off, keeping all of our graphics running, and she's made a contribution. Elizabeth Colpo, Simon Trasick, a brand new member, Leanne Haverkamp, she's on our operations staff.
Yeah.
I hope I said your last name right, Leanne.
Dave McKinnon, who's been working for the Bluecoats since like 1992 or earlier than that even.
And who has an
maybe,
amazing history, even dating back to that, with John in Canada.
With John in Canada with the Ventures. Yeah, incredible. And yeah.
Mike Brandt and Floors Duel, that's incredible. All those new people adding into that 358 total of people contributing tonight.
And more coming in. We'll try and do one more list if we have time at the end after this premiere. So
yes, absolutely. And again, this
please,
has been...
this is your last chance. We've got maybe about 5-10 minutes left of this production. If you can get your donation in now, that would mean the world to us.
Yeah, join the Shield. That's making a one-time gift. There's a button right there at bluecoats.com. That's making a monthly gift, rather. You can make a one-time gift clicking the Donate Now button. $5, $500, $1,000.
Whatever you can give.
You can give. That's all adding up into that total. That's trying to get us that much closer to $350,000 along the way. Today has been the most successful day of giving probably in our history, certainly since we started this year. That is just, I'm just so thankful. And as a reward, we wanted to put this last. This is the second of our 2 virtual performance premieres today. A special thanks to Rick Brown, who both arranged the piece and who you'll see performing as a soloist.
Yes, he's on our brass staff team. He is an assistant director of bands at the University of Connecticut, and he has been working hard on this particular.
Yeah, and he's a co-chair of our Diversity and Inclusion Alumni Council, or Advisory Council. So without further ado, here's the 2020 High Brass performing Shenandoah.
Wow, that was awesome. Actually, I have a really special personal attachment to that song. That was my grandma Purple, Grandma Marion. That was like her favorite song, and the Joe Stafford version when I was a kid. So it was always playing, we even played it at her funeral. So I have a really special emotional attachment to it.
Well,
yeah.
and special shout out to Rick Brown who arranged it. I saw other staff members, Kristen Eck, of course, a soloist. There have been a lot of people that have helped produce all 4 of the virtual performances that you saw today. I'm sure I'm going to miss somebody, so I apologize, but Kristen Eck, Pat Guerin, Scott Dupree, Rick Brown, Bob Cresty, Malik Davis, and Griffin Schneider, Angel Gonzalez. Lots of people. Those projects, they're 2 minutes long, but the amount of work it takes
they are not easy to put together at all.
Right, you have to take all the video, all the audio, you have to handle the audio and the video separately, then you have to get it all to link up at the end and be pretty, and plus the arranging at the beginning. So that was all a lot of work, and of course it pales into comparison to what we could have seen this year with a giant field show, but it was so great to be able, and we talked about this quite a bit tonight, to be able to provide some of those experiences, whether it was Camp in the Cloud, Bluecoats Connect, Bluecoats Strong, these virtual performances. All those were an effort for us to provide something and sort of live up to that promise of a Bluecoats experience. But of course, we weren't able to do any of that without your support. And all of the support today is just mind-boggling. It's been, like I said, our biggest day of giving probably in our history, just in this short 3.5 hour period of time. That's just so great. I'm not sure, are we ready for an update or not? These guys are working furiously because you are.
Donations are still coming in. We have another member of the Shield. We're up to 26 people. That's incredible. 372 individual donors now, approaching 400 donors, $30,751. And again, with people still coming in, we will update that total on bluecoats.com tomorrow to show you just how much we actually received today. That's amazing. I know there's still people coming in, but they're real time typing this data in right now.
Right. So we started tonight with we were at $251,271. We had a $10,000 match and then a $5,000 match. We had almost 400 people send in donations. We had more than 25 people joining the Shield. The donations are still coming in.
People
so this total
increasing their Shield too. That was great.
Right. This total isn't exactly correct yet because you guys are being so generous, but here's where we're at. We're at that's incredible. $282,022 raised in support of our recovery, in support of ensuring that more students have the Bluecoats experience, that more fans and patrons of Bluecoats have access to the incredible art that we saw. Our 2 Hall of Famers, our 2 new Hall of Famers, and our entire design team and our entire staff.
And most of all, make sure that we can keep that type of experience going for 2021 because that's what this is all about.
Yes, to bringing that back, and we've talked so much about how much we feel strongly and are committed strongly to what Bluecoats is as an organization and what our programming provides to so many people. We're committed to bringing that back, and you all are committed to bringing it back too, because you've been so enormously supportive. We shouldn't end this though without thanking some of the people that we haven't seen.
But first, we have a list of donors.
Oh,
right?
yes,
And
let's
let me
get to these.
apologize if we don't say your name and you donated. So sorry, like it's coming in fast and furious.
And it's at bluecoats.com.
It's at bluecoats.com. You can check that out. We appreciate every single one. But here's a list of a few new people that have donated. Taylor Curtis, a marching member. Kathy Pearson, our assistant color guard caption hand. Ken Mrazik,
yeah.
Gabe Ayers, Debbie McIlvain, Amy Lily Floyd,
Thank you,
Diana
Amy.
Reitman, Alyssa Hockwimmer, a new member of the Shield, Abby Ellinger, she's an alumnus I remember very well, Joan Green, Thomas Henderson, Amy Rapinski, Debbie Petrangelo, our old sewing caption head. Love you, Debbie.
Yes. Is there more? There's even more.
Okay, no, that's not okay.
They're coming in so fast.
Yeah.
Again, you can go to bluecoats.com. There's a button that says see our supporters. You can see the list. Again, we're trying to keep it updated as fast as we can. Hit refresh if you're missing it. We're going to get it all up to there. And of course, I can feel my phone vibrating. There's donations coming in.
He's gotten an email every time someone donates.
Yeah, there's
so we know
donations
they're
coming
coming
in.
in. Please keep them coming in all night tonight. We would appreciate that so much.
A lot of people made tonight possible. I don't know if you saw, we tweeted out a picture of just the incredible setup that it takes to make this happen. We especially have to thank our technical director and producer, Matt Skoronsky.
Just volunteering his time to make this work, and
Absolutely.
just with a really incredibly professional setup that we could not have imagined.
Incredibly. Kate McIlvain and Sarah, they're both here. Liz Clayton is our marketing manager. She's been running the social media and dealing with all you people talking about cake. She's
From Canada.
She's quarantined in Canada, so she's handling that remotely. Dave Glasgow, of course, you'll see it in the credits, but all the people that produced the virtual performances and that helped compile all of this, and of course our board of directors and so many people, the design team, the caption heads, everybody.
Advisory council, everybody who contributed.
And they've made this night possible, but they've also made all of that virtual programming possible, all of Bluecoats in the Cloud possible. Everything that we've been able to do this summertime, this summer has been thanks to this incredible team who, despite a cancellation, despite the season not happening, despite the finances drying up, they all said, nope, we believe strongly in Bluecoats programming, in the Bluecoats experience, and we're going to keep it alive. And you've done that too.
And to be honest with you, as sad and sometimes depressing as this summer has been, all of that is just reminded me exactly how much this actually does mean, because all of those people, all of their willingness to continue to contribute, their time and resources to this, that just reinforces how much this actually means to people.
We should also thank our sponsors.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
absolutely. We would be remiss not to thank our sponsors. I know we've mentioned some of them already. Yamaha here.
Yes.
And Hammond Design, who sponsors the Brass podcast, as well as Danbury Uniforms.
Of course,
but we have
Danbury.
several others as well.
We have, of course, Zildjian, who supplies all of our cymbal instruments. We have Evans Drumheads,
Right
the
here.
team at D'Addario, who provides so much pageantry innovations. Of course, Yamaha is both brass and percussion. We
Innovative
have
Percussion.
Innovative Percussion, who provides all of our sticks and who has the signature stick of our very own Tom Rarick. There is a massive list of organizations onto who we feel strongly provide the best in the business. Please go to bluecoats.com/sponsors. You can see the whole list. Thank you so much. I know we weren't able to put your product out on the field this year, but that doesn't mean that your support hasn't helped keep the Bluecoats experience alive for thousands of people.
It means so much to us.
All right, folks, that's it. John, you want to come in here and say goodbye to everybody? All
Bye,
right, John
everybody.
says goodbye. We all
John
say
says
goodbye. Thank
goodbye.
you so much. We're going to keep track of those donations as they come in, so keep them coming. We'll keep adding them in. Thank you so much, and until next time.
You guys are the best. This is more than I could have ever imagined.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you later.
Bye.